Okay, it's Friday and it's raining. Everywhere you look, there's water everywhere. And many would say not a drop to drink. And it's slowing down traffic in certain parts of the city already this morning, getting into Friday and then getting into the weekend. On Ngong Road, heading into the city, as you then approach Upper Hill, traffic has already started to move really slowly. And also on the other side of things, on Jogo Road, it's also moving very slowly as well. Some movement and then some slowing down happening on Langata Road as you get towards the city this morning. Let's take a look at what's coming off of Thika Superhighway, and nothing much actually. It's free and clear into the city. We're not going to have any holdups for now, but it will slow down, that we know. Let's have a look at what happens as we get into Friday proper. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room. It is the only way to start your day. This mic does not want to talk to me, but okay, let's try and see what we can do. Okay, good morning and welcome to Friday. How are you? At 10 minutes after 6 o'clock, Kenya's biggest conversation starts now. Overnight, the heavens decided that they were going to open, and it's raining and it's doing so proper. And we expect that they're going to get heavier and heavier as we get towards the end of this fourth month of the year. All right, it's 11 after 6 o'clock and we're getting into conversations to end the week. And as we get into it, I'm just going to tell you what we'll be talking about today. Or should I ask how you are doing first? And all those good things. One to expect that everything is all right as we get into the day. All right, so a number of conversations that we will have today. I'll be looking into some of those and quite some issues to discuss. And even as we look at what's making the news in the headlines today, let's start off with a conversation that we'll be having at 7 o'clock. The economic contribution of the Mitumba industry. I mean, there have been conversations round about what the Mitumba industry actually does have to offer in terms of options for people, but then also what it does for trade routes in this part of the world and coming into other parts as well. All right, that's a conversation for 7 a.m. And the chairperson of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, Teresia Wairimu, will be with us at 7. Okay. It is, and then we'll go into this NTSA crackdown. We've seen NTSA back on the roads. Folks are already starting to tremble. What's going on? Yes, they've been reintroduced. Many would say it's after the many accidents that we've seen, and there was an invitation for more presence on the roads. So, the Road and Safety Strategies Manager at NTSA, Samuel Musumba, will be with us at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking about restoring sanity on the roads, if it's possible to do. It is Healthy Friday, and so at 9 o'clock we'll have a Healthy Friday conversation, and we'll be talking about testicular cancer. It's Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and Dr. Manel Haj, who is a consultant medical oncologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital, will be with us at 9 o'clock.
What is testicular cancer?
It's cancer of the testes.
And what's the other one?
Which one?
The other one of men around there.
Prostate. Yes.
What's that one?
So the prostate is the gland that is located in rather towards the back of the reproductive organs in the male. It is a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a something gland. Oh, I'll remember in a minute. It's a something gland, but yes, found in men. Yes.
Okay, so they affect the same region but different parts.
Yes, the same region but different parts. So you cannot have testicular cancer of the prostate, for example. It's either prostate cancer or testicular cancer. Remember, the testes are the organs that hold and are responsible for production of sperm. Yes.
Oh.
You understand?
Okay.
One might also want to ask, what is the prostate and what does it do? Find out all of that.
Yeah. The prostate gland is responsible for creating the fluid that makes up semen.
Thank you.
The fluid that makes up semen.
Okay.
Huyo daktari akuje hapa atuambie. Sheesh, man.
It's a big deal, though. Many cases of testicular cancer now reported than before. So it's interesting to have that conversation about. And on that note, good morning, Eric.
Hello. Mama Nimnigani. Number fresh, eh? It's finally another Friday.
Yes, you're happy.
It was Friday 2 days ago.
And here we are.
And now it's another Friday again.
How lucky can one get?
Banai. Banange. Hey. Okay. It's okay. We'll take them.
Don't worry, just bring.
We will take them.
Is it not to deal?
And let them come. Let them come. This is the end of those holidays. Next one, May 1st. After that, June.
After that, June 1st.
After that, June. After June 20th.
Do you remember last year there were like 5 public holidays in a row? Because what happened? Because you know how the moon moves, so every year is different, Abi. So now what's wrong with you? Every year is different.
My glasses.
They're foggy.
Yeah.
So remember last year? I'll help you clean them. Don't worry. So there was Eid, because of course every year the Ramadan cycle will end on a different day.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So there was Eid, followed by, and then unfortunately, former President Kibaki passed on, and so on the day of his funeral, I believe, was a public holiday, and then there was a weekend, and then there was May 1st on Monday. So there were like 5 days. People were confused. People came back on Wednesday and they were like, okay, what's happening here?
What does this company do? What am I supposed to do here? Okay. Everybody who's online, are we?
Well, something.
We are, yes. Edna says we are. Yes, we are. Good morning. How you doing from across the globe? Welcome to the conversation at 16 minutes after 6. You know what to do. If you don't know, let me tell you what you need to do. Just go to the comment section of the live stream on YouTube or Facebook. And now we're on X. Yeah? We're on X as well. Yeah, Pia, on X. Well, there's no comment section on the
you just go
on the Twitter Spaces. It's okay, but just go there and say where you are from. Say hello to everybody else, and then say hello to Eric, Ndu, and Edna. And we have a new one. What's her name?
Charlotte.
Introduce her to the people.
Say it like that.
Queen Charlotte.
Charlotte, and she's got red hair.
Abbas. Yo. What's that
Charlotte's
series
hair
on
is
Netflix? The one that has Queen Charlotte.
It's called Queen Charlotte.
Okay, and the other one? The one, Queen Charlotte is a sequel.
It's a spin-off of Bridgerton.
Bridgerton.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the Bridgerton girl.
No, that's her.
Okay. So say hello to, how do you spell the name Charlotte?
Charlotte. Abby, where is she? Is it correct? It's correct.
Is that it? Okay, yeah. Yeah. So say hi to Edna and
Charlotte.
There you go.
And you have to say it like that. You can't say Charlotte. Okay, yes, it is a rainy morning in Nairobi today. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 16. Cloudy at 16 in Nakuru with highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 25, and a cloudy Nyeri at 17. Into cloudy Eldoret and rainy as well with highs of 25 and lows of 15. Mombasa this morning is cloudy at 28 27 with highs of 33 and lows of 27, while in Malindi it's partly cloudy at 28 with highs of 33. Partly cloudy at 21 in Kisumu, going to highs of 30, while in Kakamega at 18 it's clear, going to highs of 29. Kampala is mostly cloudy at 21 with highs of 28, while into Dar es Salaam it's clear at 26 with highs of 31. We're looking into a mostly cloudy Johannesburg at 10, going to highs of 19, while in Mogadishu it's already sunny at 28 with highs of 33. It's 13 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 25, while looking into a mostly cloudy Lagos at 28. We'll see highs of 35 today. It's cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 32, and into Beijing Friday afternoon is sunny at 20 with highs of 28, and 10 degrees in Paris with highs of 23 and lows of 10. We're looking into a cloudy London at 11 with highs of 19, while in New York it's mostly cloudy at 13. We'll see highs of 18 and lows of 12.
Hey, 19 minutes after 6.
Yes, many people are online this morning. King Dave says, good morning. Good morning, Team Strong. Happy Friday. Agri Momanye has decided to give an ode to his daughter, telling her how much he loves her. One would only assume. Just do your best, stand tall. Your crown
One would assume
tilt.
what?
That it's his daughter he's talking about, since he says, my beautiful daughter.
Okay.
Your crown might tilt, but don't ever let it fall when you are too afraid to look ahead. Right beside you, I will always be there.
No,
It's her birthday.
Read it nicely.
Okay, let's start from the beginning.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a beautiful message.
My beautiful daughter, never forget that I love you forever. Life is a journey full of challenges. Just do your best. Stand tall. Your crown might tilt, but never let it fall. When you're too afraid to look ahead, look right beside you. I will always be there. I love you. Happy birthday, Penelope. Your loving dad.
Oh,
Bambi.
beautiful.
Happy birthday, Penelope.
Yes, Mwimbie.
And your dad is really special for doing that.
Imbeya Penelope. You're going to Charlotte, Penelope.
I'm telling you. Happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May he guide you and keep you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Penelope.
Kabisa.
Rose Grace says, good morning, a wonderful team. You are tuned in from Tamu this morning. Zeke says, good morning and happy Friday. Blessed weekend ahead and stay safe. Sir George Gashoiri is tuned in this morning. To Eric and Edna and Charlotte, of course. Regards to happy to see Team Muga. Hope to see him soon. Yes, we had a glimpse of him yesterday and he'll be with us. Don't worry. Happy Friday and a blessed weekend. Top of the morning, says Jess. It's been a minute. Yes, it has. Where have you been? How have you been? Happy to see that we are keeping up the good work. Thank you very much. Joseph Kimonge says, good morning. Tuned in from Ibencho. The Kikombe says, you all are back. Yes, we are. Sunny Phuket was worried. Why? May your inner garments remain dry on your way to work. It rained this morning, eh? It did. I believe the inner garments are dry. Right. Raphael Kige says, good morning, good people. Tuko Rada Maya. That's what he said. Robert Iboko tuning from Mombasa. And good morning, Ndu Latif. It's Friday. You always make my morning right. Thank you very much, Samuel Bakora. Joe Mungai says, good morning. Today is Friday. Must you drink and drive? No, just drink. Or just drive. Get home in one piece. Your family needs you. Okay.
That's a good message.
That's a very good message. Mashari Anjeru says, good morning, Team Spice, watching from Portland, Oregon. The CS of Agriculture can't make up his mind whether it's fertilizer or soil conditioner. Cannot make up his mind whether it's genuine or fake. I know. Sir George Gashoiri
It's not fake. It's just substandard.
It's substandard. Okay. Okay, let's just keep it like that. Dr. Venvik says, good morning from Tudor. Chamge, my beautiful people. Greetings from the beautiful hills of Saboti. It's chilly this morning. I still want you to interview the Minister of Agriculture. We're working on it, my darling.
Yes.
We're working on it.
Tafuta
yeye sana. Margaret Wanjohi says, have a great weekend. Tuned in from Houston, Texas. Ben Kipto Letich. Chamge, tuning in from Belgut. Hey, Belgut. MP wa Belgut anaitwa?
Anaitwa is the chairman of
Nelson
Defense and Foreign
Koech.
Relations. Yes.
All right. Jeffrey Mogaka says, good morning. Miritini Mombasa kumekucha vema. Nyaboke apewe za weekend. Ndio yo.
Yeah,
Jimmy
even
Wick.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I'm telling you.
Very good.
Oganyi Malala says, good morning. Tuned in as always. Jennifer Tenyi is here. Jimmy Wekas has also tuned in. Matthew Kivara. Now, do you say this? Do you say Kivara or do you say Kithara?
Who knows?
Wonder. Okay.
Matthew would tell us.
Matthew. Can you write how you
Kithara.
pronounce it?
It's written Kithara.
Kithara. So you don't say the. When do you say the and when do you say th in Kikuyu?
DH. There's no th. There's no the.
Also, when you say th in Kikuyu, it's always th. Voila.
Well, there's no pronunciation like tha in Kikuyu.
Okay.
It's tha.
You learn something
But in
new,
Swahili,
right?
it's tha. TH is tha. DH is the.
Okay. Sawa basi. So anyway, he says this is the best radio station, a radio show in Kenya by far. He's tuning from Fort Wayne in Indiana. Rogers Nyange has introduced himself and says Rogers Nyange is tuned in from Kweningoyo Sagala in Taita. Sounds interesting. Ngong showers through the night till this morning, but Tukosawa says Kajwango Pere. Irene Aziz says high vibration. That's right, man.
Well.
Tunaiona hivyo, high vibration. Okay, who is playing with the page? It has just disappeared.
It's gone.
Okay, now it's back.
Bring
Good
it
morning,
back.
all. TGIF, Raphael Kike says, Salimia Charlotte, not Charlotte. You know, Charlotte actually is a small onion. That's shallot. See, Shallot. That's a small onion.
Eh?
Shallot is a small onion.
How do you write that?
Shallot.
What's a small onion?
A shallot.
What do you mean a small onion?
Okay, so
is it a type of onion?
It's a type of an onion, exactly.
That is
but
small.
It's much smaller and it's got a more pungent flavor than your bigger.
Is it red?
No, well, it's slightly purple, with some white. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what a shallot is. In this case, this is Charlotte. Her name. But anyway, Raphael and Salimia Charlotte. Meat Tick says good morning from Busia. There's so many people online this morning. Let me go with them really quickly, right? Tib says good morning. Tune in this morning. Where is CT Muga? He's okay, don't worry. Chris Kadwong is tuning from Kenyatta. Baldhead says wagwan to you. We missed the white beard. He's around. He'll be back. Yesterday I heard Eric speak Kikuyu. He does it all the time. I thought Eric ni Masai. He is. That's the conundrum, isn't it? Brian Otieno says, CT went to recharge his batteries. Yes, he did. Owen Basire says, hi, beautiful lady. One can only assume whom he's speaking to.
There are three of you here.
Who keeps playing with the screen? Why are you doing like that? Who is that person? There are three beautiful ladies here. Which one are you referring to? Okay, we see you all and you make our mornings every day. That's for sure. Thanks for being here this morning, everybody.
Kariburi sana. Final day of Proverbs from the Kingdom of Morocco.
You asked on Monday who the king is. On Friday is when I tell you. His name is Mohammed the Sixth. He's the sixth. Yes, he's Mohammed the Sixth.
Mohammed the Sixth. How many cities do you know in Morocco?
Quite a bit. I've been to two. So there's Tangier, which I've been to. It's a coastal city, beautiful, and it's about 4 hours from from Casablanca. And then there's Marrakesh, of course. I don't know the rest because I've not been.
So Tangier, the coastal city, is it Moroccan or is it Spanish?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's got a combination of Spanish, Mediterranean, and then Middle Eastern Arabic culture. So it's mixed. It's great. Tourist city. It's maybe an hour's flight from Paris, actually, if you were to move. But yeah, it touches on Europe, basically.
Does, right? Yeah. It's just about 30 minutes on a boat from Spain.
Yep.
So Spain and Morocco share some things. For example, Morocco claims the Spanish enclaves of Ceuta, Melilla, and Penob de Velez de la Gomera. Okay. And of course, now we're talking about Tangier, which also has a lot of Spanish manenos, but it's a Moroccan city. And then the capital of Morocco is Rabat. The largest city is Casablanca. Marrakesh is very beautiful. What? Beautiful culture.
Beautiful. Marrakesh is very, interestingly, it's a mix of old and new Beautiful city. Beautiful. Yeah.
Main languages in Morocco. I'll tell you about those ones in the next hour. Sawa.
Okay.
Today's proverb from Morocco. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find a solution. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find the solution.
Yeah, I agree. Even if that solution requires you getting some help.
But seek help.
You find it. Yeah.
Go seek help. See it, you.
Sitting and lamenting and woe unto me, woe is me.
See what happens. See what, because it's already 28 past 6. We do traffic and then we start the headlines.
Nisawa.
Okay. It's, like I said, 28 minutes after what? 6 a.m. Time for traffic, and then we'll look at the headlines of the papers shortly.
Okay, so yes, it is a rainy morning everywhere you look around the country. So it goes to say that folks are going to slow down just a little bit, getting where you need to go today. So please do that. Remember what we were told yesterday: pools of water. Be careful before you and you engage. Sawa. All right, coming off the Thika Superhighway, not much going on. Coming past Survey, it's already starting to build. You'll get to Muranga Road, and you'll have some bumper-to-bumper traffic. It's okay on Jogo Road, heading out towards Landis, but we already can see that will be pretty busy this morning. As you're coming off the Eastern Bypass, not much going on. Outer Ring is looking good as you're going out towards the Thika Superhighway. Also coming in from the Thika Superhighway towards the Eastern Bypass, not a problem. We saw some movement on Ngong Road. That's going to continue through the morning as folks are out and about. Getting into the weekend, sometimes traffic seems to wane. Let's see what happens this Friday. In the meantime, talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Hiya, it's 6:30.
The headlines today, they're very serious something. Let's start with the one, Despairs. The headlines in the paper, not papers, because we have...
You have one?
One paper.
I have screenshots of the others.
Well done.
Don't worry, let's go.
Despairs doctors hardened strike stand. The day before yesterday, the day before yesterday, Head of Public Service Felix Koske said, you know what, guys, stop it, get back to work. We saw the governor of Kakamega County yesterday, Ferdinand Barraza, say... Fernandez Barraza, sorry. Say, you guys, don't play with me, get back to work.
Or else.
Everybody just shouting, say, you guys should get back to work. Doctor said... They warn that private doctors will now join their colleagues in the next 7 days if the government does not address the strike. However, state officials say they must return to work for their issues to be resolved. They said, joke with us and you'll see. All right. There's a puzzle. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And the Auditor General has flagged cases where some county employees share the same bank accounts through which they are paid. Like me and you now, we have one bank account and we're not married. It's not like it's a joint account kind of something. Elgeyo Marakwet, Bomet and Baringo paid money to employees sharing same bank account. How?
So they've decided?
They've decided that instead of wasting the bank accounts, let's just share. Let's share.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle and she's quite confused. We'll tell you that story. Envoys, Chiloba on the spot, over 800 million shilling wealth. How did you get so rich, monsieur?
So Chiloba is worth 800 million shillings.
So he says.
Okay.
And MPs are asking, how? You people are going to represent us outside there, and the chatter is that you people are richer than
us.
How?
So MPs can't see how that Kachiloba guy can be richer than them.
The grilling
wealthier
yesterday.
Than them.
How? Not even that. How did you get it? Where did you get it? We know where you've been working. The grilling yesterday was quite interesting for envoys who are then going to represent Kenya in different stations around the world. And it was quite interesting in terms of image issues, who has which money, who doesn't have which qualifications. Let's see what happens. Nelson Koech happens to also be...
He's the chair of
this...
it's called Defense and Foreign Relations Committee of the National Assembly. It's the one that's vetting.
Yeah. But he said unequivocally, he said, look, it is not my decision, it's a group decision. But let me tell you, if your thing has even comma, you're not going anywhere.
Hakuna kitu. Hakuna siku. Tell Nelson Koech, Bunge si yake.
Seriously, see, okay. Tributes to pour out to June Moy. It was unfortunate that we saw the passing of June Moy yesterday morning. Friends and family and friends condole with the Moy family after June Moy passed on in hospital following a short illness at the age of 60. All right, so that's a look at the headlines this morning.
Have you done all the ones at the top?
Why your HIV test may be inaccurate. That's just a tad scary, wouldn't you say?
What?
We'll look into details of that as well. UK tax relief for far-flammer.
Yeah? Far-flammers. That's a nice one.
Thank you.
We know
I
what
made
you
it up
mean.
myself. Moving on.
Hiya. The Daily Nation, the big headline in the Daily Nation this morning, lessen tax burden, bishops urge state. Clergy calls for end to doctor strike, seeks waiver on missionary work permits. Oh, okay. Tough times. Catholic bishops say life became harder for many Kenyans in the past year due to the high cost of living brought about by overtaxation. Even as a new opinion poll said, the country is headed in the wrong direction, citing increased taxes and unemployment. Okay? So they have a photo here of the Catholic bishops, the members of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, KCCB, during a press briefing on key issues affecting the country at Russell House in Karen, Nairobi yesterday. And then on the side, they have the graphics there, opinion poll. 58% of Kenyans think that the country is going in the wrong direction. 58% cite the high cost of living as the main problem. 81% of Kenyans who support Raila Odinga's candidature for AUC chairperson. Speaking of Raila, there's another headline there. Raila, reinstate intern doctors' pay to end strike. The opposition leader has asked the government to reinstate the 206,000 shillings salary for intern doctors and suspend its decision to review the stipend until the next collective bargaining agreement is signed. There's a headline here. Atoli opposes bill seeking to set term limits for union chief. Scott, who has served in the position for only 23 years, terms the draft bill ill-conceived and retrogressive. Yeah, I mean, it's only been 23 years in that position. Surely. Other headline, my co-wife cremated our husband without my consent. Domestic man was there. Is a co-wife who says the other co-wife cremated their husband
Without her
consent.
Okay.
Yeah. That is the Daily Nation. The Business Daily. How KQ passengers lost 4.3 billion shillings on ticket expiry breach. What? Kenya Airways customers lost 4.26 billion shillings last year on failing to use their tickets within the allowed window. The airline discloses in the latest annual report covering the financial year ended December last year that it booked the amount as revenue in its books of accounts, marking a 54.3% rise from 2.7 billion it received from expired tickets in the previous financial year. So it just considers that you bought a ticket, you didn't use it. Okay, it has expired. And for us, that's money.
No, but you must at least be able to give me a later date upon which to travel.
Well, not necessarily.
Why not?
It depends on when you bought it, when it expired.
Is there a limit
Yes,
to the time that I can hang on to it?
Yes.
Is it? Unless you keep updating or letting me know or something. Okay.
So that is the main headline there. Then they have a photo here of Mithika Linturi, the Cabinet Secretary for what? Agriculture, and several senators. Mithika Linturi went with fertilizer to the Senate and said, this is fertilizer. Fertilizers were taking, senators were taking it.
They were sniffing
it. You know, smell kama fertilizer hii kitu. Hii ni CN. Indian PK. I can smell the N. But the P, I think the P is not the right amount. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi and the chairperson of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, James Murango, inspecting a sample of fertilizer in the Senate yesterday. Linturi dismissed reports that the subsidized fertilizer being distributed to farmers across the country is fake, saying some of it Some was substandard. Substandard, fake, semantics,
Some,
clear
not
difference.
all.
Some is substandard. None is fake.
Right.
Okay. Ticker headlines in the Business Daily. Farmers paying us 41% of tea is rejected at the Mombasa. 41% of tea is more than 41% of Kenya's tea presented to the Mombasa auction in March remained unsold, leaving sellers with a growing pile of unsold consignment of the beverage. 41%.
Pourquoi?
I wonder why. It's the details in this, the Business Daily. Sheesh. State House, Interior Ministry, top list of hospitality spenders. The State House and the Office of the President spent 653 million shillings only on hospitality in the first half of the fiscal year ended December 2023, leading other government departments in this line of expenditure. Yani between June and December, chai mandas, salmon, chai mandas, cake, chai mandas, steak, chai mandas, chicken. 650 million shillings in 6 months.
They ate it literally.
Yes. This is the State House and the Office of the President. Remember, State House is State House, then there's OP. Okay? This is the presidency and OP. Hiyo ni pesa kidogo though.
650 million.
Yeah.
So just be eating.
Remember, we hosted the king.
We hosted the king, so
There was a
we
banquet.
had to feed him.
There was a banquet.
Okay.
Okay? Remember, we have hosted several leaders here. Banquet, this and the other, and all those kind of things. 6 counties, 33 billion shillings spending on and...
Slow down.
6 counties, 33 billion shillings spending and adverse opinion. The Auditor General has queried expenditure of 33.6 billion shillings in 6 counties that she ranked as worst performing on management of public finances. That is the Business Daily. I've got the other one called what? The Star, okay? Today is Friday, so top right-hand corner is in
Burnt orange.
burnt brown. Get it right. It's burnt brown. Page 4, Siasa. And they have a photo here of Raila's pounding headache. They don't have a photo of Raila's pounding headache. They have a photo of Raila Odinga. And the headline there says, Raila's pounding headache.
You're all kinds of wrong, I swear. Hey, God in heaven.
Can state officers elected as independent candidates join parties?
Are you asking me or are you reading the headline?
That's a headline.
Oh, okay.
It's a question. Can state officers elected as independent candidates join parties? So if, is that a question? Higher. The other small headlines here. June Moy eulogized as charming, hard-working businesswoman. Additional cash, counties to get extra 55 billion allocation in new bill. Way of all flesh, O.J. Simpson acquitted of killing wife, dies aged 76. And then the photo, there are 3 photos here, and they have a beautiful caption. Grief upon grief, no healthcare, floods, fake fertilizer. Photo number 1. Medics protest as they head to Parliament in Nairobi on April 9th. Photo number 2. Agriculture CS Medeka Linturi and Senate committee members inspecting fertilizer from KEL Chemicals. Photo number 3. Submerged houses in Homa Bay after heavy rains caused flooding. And that's what they say, grief upon grief. You have no healthcare, you've got fake fertilizer, and you've got flooding across the country. Bang in the middle of the paper.
Well done.
700 billion shillings unpaid bills torment for suppliers. Parastatals alone owed contractors 447 billion shillings as of December 31st last year. Interviews with some of those affected reveal deep distress in the face of loss. So they are doing that story today in the Star, where they're looking at those who are really, really going through it. Owed by your own government all these 600 billion shillings is amount that has been budgeted for. Okay, procurement has happened.
Yeah.
You have delivered a service or goods. You have not been paid. It's criminal enterprise, this country. Tell us the story.
I don't even know where to start.
Start anywhere.
Lawmakers quiz Chiloba over 800 million shillings wealth as Githinji fails to explain lack of ambition.
Shish.
How do you look at somebody and say, you lack ambition? So,
that's the worst insult someone can give you.
Imagine.
Afadhali mtu akuite umbwa, kondoo, konokono, but they don't call you hopeless. Hopeless. Hey, go on.
Former Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC CEO Ezra Chiloba was yesterday put on the spot over his 800 million shillings wealth declaration and controversial exits from job appointments. Job today left, job tomorrow left. Why? Then you want to go and represent us outside. How do we know you will not?
Will you last?
The National Assembly's Defence and International Relations Committee, Chiloba was asked to explain his source of wealth, with the MP seeking to know how he had amassed the multi-million shillings worth at the age of 46. I mean, surely you're still very young.
You're too young
to have this kind of money. The House team also sought to know why scandals and claims of financial impropriety seemingly followed him from one job to another. Didn't really matter where he was. Scandal was just following him. Chiloba was being vetted for the Los Angeles Consular General position. In the afternoon, Charles Githinji, Keru, nominee for the Goma DRC Consul General position, was also questioned by the committee. The committee quickly expressed concerns over his suitability for the position, noting that he failed to display key competencies required for the position. Now, trouble began where after the MPs established that the nominee's highest level of education was a Form 4 certificate.
Okay.
And sought to know what diplomatic experience he had, if any. I mean, one would assume that if you were going to be a diplomat for the country, that you had some diplomacy experience.
At least you've
something. Okay, fine. At least you have spoken to a president of another country.
Guy.
Githinji, a petrol station owner, would however...
Is the petrol station in Kenya or in Goma?
I think it's in Kenya.
Goma.
Goma. Would however admit that he had no prior experience. He actually admitted, said, I don't have. I'm going to station here petrol. Should this committee approve me, I will endeavor to go to school and learn about this position as much as possible. I'm sorry. Boy. This after Kamkunji MP Yusuf Hassan poked holes in his suitability for the role. This is what he said. Actually, this is what Belgut MP Nelson Koech said. It is very disappointing that you did extremely nothing, including filling in the document. You didn't even fill in this document.
Ahead of the vetting?
Surely.
As in the documents that you're required to fill ahead of the vetting?
Yes, please.
For purposes of the vetting?
As in, where were you going? Were you going to the beach? Okay. No, you were coming here and you had to have done the thing. It is becoming extremely difficult to interview you because you lack the information. I wish you even consulted someone on how to respond to such questions. You should have even asked your friend. He just came here. Discrepancies in his net worth also arose after he declared he was worth 19 million, but had indicated 9 million on his declaration form submitted to the committee. Maybe he forgot.
Wait, he's going for his job, this guy? Consul General?
Goma.
Consul General.
Consul General.
Goma.
Yeah.
DRC.
Yes, please.
He's worth 19 million.
Yeah.
Our guy who's going for Consul General Los Angeles is worth 800 million.
You understand? Very good.
Si Chiloba andike ujamaa kazi.
Can be taking care of his
tumalize hii story. Kama ni kazi tu, if Ruto is just looking for a job for this petrol station owner, just talk to Chiloba nicely.
They can't even
kosa kitu.
They can't even go together. Surely. It gets better. He said it was supposed to be 19 million, but it was 9. So with that, we can understand. Maybe he forgot to put 1. On the form, he wrote 9. Then when they were interviewing him, he said it's 19. So they were wondering, even to fill the form, you cannot fill. Now you want to go and represent the country outside. Hey, how is it going to happen? Now, Yusuf Hassan was also asking Ezra Chiloba, there are some doubts about you. and they were very honest and candid yesterday. From what you have presented, you have never worked in the private sector. Meanwhile, you have been in the public sector all your life, yet you have an enormous 800 million shillings in wealth. Can you explain that? The legislator further questioned Chiloba's resume. From your CV, you are restless.
You are restless.
Yes. It shows you serve for a few years and at times even months, then leave for another job. Can we really trust that you would stay should you be appointed for this job? Chiloba explained that his multi-million net worth was thanks to his fixed assets and ventures in agribusiness. He told the committee that he engages in consultancy services and derives a salary from formal employment. I have been very fortunate, Mr. Chair, because I started working while still in school in 2001. Currently, I engage in agribusiness and I plant and sell, guess what? Avocado.
That's...
in my farm.
He's a big farmer.
Yes, please. And that is in Kitale. Over the years, I have also been able to save money derived from being formally employed in my consultancy business. Baringo Central MP Joshua Kandie cited Chiloba's controversial exits from the IEBC and the Communications Authority of Kenya. He'd been twice suspended from the IEBC with his then boss, Wafula Chebukati, citing procurement malpractices ahead of the August and October 2017 general elections. It went on and on. Kandie said, I'm afraid that this gentleman will go to Los Angeles and give us another scandal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was interesting to see what the committee had yesterday. But it all rounded out with Nelson Coet saying, you know what? I'm the chair. Yes, I am. But we do this in consultation. But let me assure you, if there is something that besmirches your image or gives us any doubt about what you would then be able to go and present in whatever duty station you've been called for, you will not go. And this was across board to everybody.
Let me tell you, you look at the vetting and you ask yourself very many questions. For example, this DRC chap, Charles Gedenji, he was asked by members of parliament whether he understands what GDP means, gross domestic product. He says, it's something to do with the population, it's the population of the country. It goes with the population. Okay? And you're seeing all these reports coming out of this yesterday and also wondering, so my goodness, ni mambo gani hii tunasema? There was also the other one where it said that one of the nominees, the nominee to Kenya's permanent representative role at the UN in Geneva, was asked, so to whom will you present your papers? Crickets.
Nobody here.
Crickets. Yeah. All these guys were appearing before the parliamentary vetting and they just do not have, they cannot answer the basic questions. You ask yourself, why did the president nominate these people?
Absolutely. But there was one, I think it was you who sent us that video. There was a gentleman who was asking a fundamental question there and said, you know what? We are sending people to some of the highest positions when it comes to international diplomacy.
Yes.
When it comes to the representation that these individuals will have for Kenya.
Yep.
For example, a permanent representative
Kenya's
to the
ambassador
Nations.
to the
Kenya's
USA.
ambassador to the USA that sits in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And you have no experience in diplomatic relations.
You have never been a diplomat. Never worked in an
embassy. You do
embassy.
not know that diplomacy itself is one course unit at the university. You have no idea. How did you even get nominated? Number one. Number two, you have an issue with, you have an integrity issue. Okay, a case was brought against you, which you're still dealing with.
Yeah.
How do we then tell you to go and represent the country? Already Washington,
in
there's
the
chatter.
USA.
Yes. Washington wants to know who's coming, who's this person. They've done no homework on you already. You've been nominated. You've not even been confirmed. And they're already asking questions about who you are. How would you, when Kenya has a plethora of individuals that you could select to go and represent you around the world, who are these individuals that you're nominating?
You know, when we hosted Dr. Korir Sing'oei, the Principal Secretary for Foreign Affairs here, and we posed that question to him and said, what, in his opinion, should be a minimum qualification for an ambassador? And he said, at least some experience in foreign service. Sure. Because you've got people who work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who are experienced diplomats, right? Who've gone through the motions. They understand what diplomacy is. They've headed desks here. They have done this. They've negotiated. They've sat in negotiations. They've attended meetings. They understand diplomacy from language to approach
to practice,
everything. Those are the people that will ideally be getting promoted, or at least saying that somebody who has served in this kind of position has this kind of level of experience. Then you can say, okay, so this person could serve.
Absolutely.
Right? Somebody who, for example, even if you've thrived in private practice, you've held at a multinational, you've been, let's say, head of government relations in a corporate, at least you understand how to deal with these things. You have some level of knowing how to deal, how to communicate even. At least.
Here at MOFA, Eric, do you know how many first secretaries, second secretaries you have? Do you know how many attachés you have? Communications attachés, media attachés, marketing, business attachés who are sitting at MOFA.
Yep.
Who have, like you said, who've risen through the ranks, who've been at MOFA for 10 years. What happens to them? Oh, you want to bring somebody...
The highest you'll become is, if you're very, very lucky, is you'll get to, deputy head of mission. It is wrong.
It is, honestly.
And now when you look at now these guys who are appearing before Parliament and the kind of questions that they are answering, and are we getting it right?
No.
Are we really getting it right? It's crazy. Anyway, private doctors are threatening to also join the ongoing doctor strike. Okay. The KMA, that's the Kenya Medical Association President Simon Kigondu, says, we call on doctors to join those who have called for demonstrations on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He was speaking at the association's headquarters in Upper Hill, Nairobi, after holding talks with union officials. The move to mobilize private health sector, according to the Doctors Union, is a direct response to controversial remarks made by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission chairperson Lynn Mengich, who claimed the strike was not significantly impacting government officials. So the Kenya Medical Association basically has also issued a 7-day strike notice and said, if you don't resolve this issue about interns, about postgraduate training for doctors, and all these other matters that are pending, even consultants will join the strike.
Yeah.
This is consultants in private practice, consultants working in private hospitals will also down their tools. That means paralyze the complete entire health system in the country. Where? Big one. Let me also tell you about what else is happening. Sugarcane farmers in Western Kenya region want the KRA to do away with this e-teams thing. The farmers are opposed to the new tax and payment changes requiring them to present e-teams invoices for cane deliveries to factories before their payment is processed. KRA had given the farmers up to April to have registered in the system, with some millers already pushing farmers to produce the e-teams paid. So here's the thing, okay? I personally see we have been pushing for more and more people to be included in that tax bracket. E-teams is doing exactly that. Now saying, okay, so you producing cane, you're presenting it to these guys. For this milling company to come and say that these are our costs, we need to actually see that there's a human being who delivered cane to you and you paid them, and we can see clearly that this is a cost. Otherwise, sugarcane companies, the milling companies will be claiming we paid farmers 17 billion shillings. Well, in actual sense, they've only paid farmers 10 billion shillings. So one way of just doing that is this. However, cane farmers have not been engaged by KRA adequately. Go there and spend time with them and share them. This is how. Just do *222# blah 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 blah. It does this, it does the other. Send the invoice. Simple as that. But it's when you tell them ati sasa lete invoice.
What?
Siwezi kulipa kama hujaleta invoice ya KRA.
Huh? Sinikulete nini?
Usilete miwa kama una invoice. What? It becomes a whole completely different story.
Hey?
You have about 2.5 minutes. I beg you please to tell us that story on page 9 of the Standard.
I can do that very fast. My minutes are reducing. Okay. The page has refused to turn.
Wait
now.
Turn it.
So, Kenyans who got negative HIV results might be living with the virus. What?
Shit.
Are you joking? New evidence has come to light suggesting the negative HIV/AIDS test results some people received were incorrect. This surprising revelation stems from a court case filed before the High Court, which brought to light the Ministry of Health's approval process for HIV testing kits. According to the court proceedings, due to the ministry's endorsement of certain kits as the most effective, there is a chance that 3 out of every 100 Kenyans who underwent testing were erroneously informed that they were HIV negative. In reality, they may be living with the virus. The complainant, Kathambi Rushiami and Wangju Wondofo Biotech Limited, through lawyers, argued that the categorization of kits done early this year was wrong and puts Kenyans at risk. Remember, the kits that will then be used have been endorsed by the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Whatever process they go through deciding which ones we will use, they do that. But now these guys have come, they've said, the categorization mechanism that you have used might put us at risk.
It's an issue.
Problem.
Yes.
The World Health Organization recommended that countries transition from a 2-test algorithm to a 3-test algorithm to improve the accuracy of HIV. Kenya has been employing a 2-test strategy for the past 15 years. But the primary concern with this approach was that it resulted in conflicting test results. So you could take one, get this result this month, take another one, get another result next month, same kit. There is already an ongoing separate court battle between 2 women and the government regarding the 2-test strategy after they received positive results from the kits despite being negative.
So you can get a positive result from this testing method, and yet you're negative.
Yes, you're negative.
Then you could also get a negative result, yet you're
positive. Exactly. So there's a problem.
They need to look at it. That one.
So basically, if you use this particular kit and you got tested, you might want to go back and do it again. This is a big deal. We can't just gloss over it. It's a huge thing.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Time for the news. Good morning, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. As the doctors' strike continues, Emir leader Raila Odinga urged the government not to slash the intern doctors' salaries, which is a key striking point in attempts to resolve the crisis.
For the last 7 years, interns have been earning 206,000 shillings per month. These are actually the doctors running level 4 and many other public hospitals. There is no way an employer can reduce the salaries of employees midstream. That distorts everything in the life of the employee. I therefore ask the government to reinstate the 206,000 shilling pay for interns until the next CBA negotiation, which is around the corner, kicks in.
Odinga also called on the government to find a quick solution to the crisis.
This is a crisis that has serious ramifications. We want this crisis to be resolved. We have not spoken before, but we want the government to take notice that we cannot remain silent for a longer time when this is persisting. We ask them to act now.
Meanwhile, the National Assembly Labour Committee has warned governors against threatening striking doctors, saying it will hold talks with doctors on Thursday next week to try and break the deadlock. Here's the committee's chairperson, Karemba Eric Mushangi.
Available to meet them this coming term if we will not have found a solution to the issue of the striking doctors. So, and we have actually written formally to them, inviting them to appear before us so that they can expound on the issues that have caused them to go on strike for almost a month now.
The Pharmacy and Poisons Board has issued a public alert recalling Benylin Pediatric 100 mls cough syrup, batch number 329304, which is manufactured in South Africa by Johnson & Johnson Limited over safety concerns. The Poisons and Board said that the alert was in response to a recall notice from Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration Control. The alert was prompted by NAFDAC's discovery of an unacceptable high level of diethylene glycol in the product, which poses serious health risks to consumers. Diethylene glycol is a toxic contaminant that has been linked to severe health problems such as abdominal pain, vomiting, diarrhea, headache, altered mental state, and acute kidney injury, all of which are potentially fatal. The PPB has said and has launched investigations and established a rapid response protocol to address the matter. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has cleared former Communications Authority of Kenya Director General Ezra Chiloba of allegations of abuse of office and conflict of interest. EACC CEO Twalib Mbarak, in a letter dated April 4th to CAK Director General David Mugonyi, indicated that it had closed the file on the former CAK boss owing to lack of sufficient evidence. The anti-graft body, however, called for the review of CAK's human resource policy and procedure manual. EACC had in September last year opened a probe into the conduct of Chiloba following his suspension by CAK's board chairperson Mary Wamboi. Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has accused the Senate Energy Committee of witch hunt after it asked the Inspector General of Police to apprehend him following his failure to attend their scheduled summons. Sakaja, in a rejoinder, said the appearing before Senate is a constitutional requirement which he takes seriously. He attributed his absence from the committee to his current travel abroad, but assured his willingness to cooperate, citing past appearances before various committees. Governor Sakaja criticized the Senate for what he termed as sensationalizing a rescheduled appearance, questioning the imposition of a fine despite his absence from the country. He highlighted instances where other invitees had their appearances rescheduled due to travel, health issues, or prior engagement. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM.
All right, getting into the morning and not much happening with traffic today. As you're coming off the thicker superhighway, it's going to use that for reference. As you get towards Survey, then we're looking at bumper to bumper action through towards the junction, going towards Murang'a Road, or then out towards Wangari Maathai. So that's going to be busy for a minute. Also on Kiambu Road, we're starting to see the build up as well. Let's take a look back at the thicker superhighway. And you're coming in from Garden City, it's heavy getting out towards those that GSU headquarters junction. On Jogo Road, it's also pretty busy as you get out towards Landis and then on towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. The southern bypass looks pretty good. We're not going to have an issue there. As you're coming in from Cabanas, however, towards North Airport Road, out towards the eastern bypass, that is busy. Southern bypass, no qualms whatsoever. On Ngong Road, there was some traffic earlier. I know the rain was coming down, so folks slow down just a bit, but that looks to have settled for now. The rains will continue through Friday from what we've been told, so we'll probably have pockets of traffic here and there, but let's try traverse without an issue, shall we? We'll talk on SpiceFM, KEONX hashtag, the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up,
It is
not
7
down.
minutes after 7. How are you
This
doing?
is
Welcome
The
to
Situation
Friday,
Room.
12th day of April 2024. 12 Friday, 13 Saturday, 14 Sunday.
Petrol.
So we're starting the new week next week with
New prices.
haipandi tumeomba.
Okay, so
Haipandi.
No problem. It's good.
Bei ya mafuta
Manifest.
haipandi. Yes.
Manifest.
Tumesema tumekataa ipande. Let me tell you, ICEA Lion, and you can follow them on X at ICEA Lion, are telling you, well, stop waiting for the right moment. It's already here. Start planning your future with ICEA Lion today. Tomorrow's success starts now. What does that mean, Ndu?
That means that if you want to do a certain number of things,
Yes.
or you want to do a thing
Yes.
at a certain point in your life, start putting the building blocks together today. And you're not really sure how to go ahead and do that. Well, ICA Lion says, you know what? Come have a conversation with us. Let us reason together what it is that you want to do. Let's see how you can make that happen. Pick a thing. You want to travel for the 10 years of your 30s. You want to build. You want to have, a nest egg. What is it that you want to do? You want to put together university education. No matter how young you are, no matter how older you've gotten, you can have a plan. ICA Lion says, you know what? Let's make that plan a reality.
Let it work for you. Go to plan.icealion.co.ke. That's a brand new swanky website just for this particular communication. You will get all the information you need. If you want more information, there's a chatbot there. Just click on it, ask a question. There's somebody on the other end who will respond to you immediately, and then you can have a conversation. You'll also see where ICA Lion offices are countrywide. You can pop in, have a conversation with them, or you can also call them. ICEA Lion says, whatever the plan is,
You can help.
we can help. We can work with you. What's the plan when it comes to your dressing today? How many people in this country are wearing brand swanky new clothes? Ati wameingia kwa duka wakanunua brand clothes straight. Or how many of us are actually using second owner, slightly used, aka Mitumba?
Pre-loved.
Pre-loved. Yeah, that's the word actually. Pre-loved. Right? Aka Mitumba. And that's a conversation we want to have. What's the impact of the Mitumba industry in this country in terms of economy, in terms of social, everything else? And that's why we've invited the chairperson of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, Teresia Warimo. Good morning, Teresia.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Asante.
It's good to have you again on the hot seat.
Thank you for having me.
I've got greetings for you from CT Muga, who is not in today.
Okay.
He's a little bit under the weather. Tunaendelea kumwombea. He'll be back on Monday, God
All
willing.
right.
But he says the Proverbs for this week are from the Kingdom of Morocco.
Okay.
Do you know what the capital of Morocco is?
Jesus, no. I'll just embarrass myself
Okay.
right there.
Don't worry, I'll tell you. Rabat.
Oh, Rabat.
Yes. The largest city in Morocco is Casablanca.
Yeah.
There are other cities in Morocco like
Tangier,
and
Marrakesh.
and others. Okay. The main languages spoken in Morocco are Arabic and, how do you pronounce that? Berber or Berber.
You want to say Berber,
Or
but they
Berber.
probably say Berber.
It's Berber.
Yeah.
It's written Berber, so let's just say Berber, okay? For the purposes of this particular conversation. And of course, they also have other languages that they mix. There's African and European cultures. They've got some Moroccan dialects of Arabic. They've got some areas of Morocco that also has a bit of Spanish and French. Okay? But the main official languages are those Arabic. Okay? Today's proverb, and you want you to listen and then you give us your interpretation of it. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find the solution. If you're responsible for a problem, you should find the solution. How do you interpret that proverb?
Wow.
What do you think the deeper meaning here is?
Yeah, the deeper meaning is pretty much the same. If you are part of the problem, you are part of the solution. That means nothing is too hard for anybody. And anybody, if they want, they can do it. Yeah.
If you'd like, if you want to, you will find a solution.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very good. Now, a lot has been happening locally and globally
Yes.
around the issue of second-hand clothes.
Yes.
Okay. The last time you were here, you mentioned a couple of numbers and figures
Yes.
regarding the Mitumba industry in this country. As a chairperson of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, let's start with those global figures.
Yes.
Okay. How much Mitumba is imported into the country in a year? How many people wear Mitumba?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Mitumba, as she said, is our all-time favorite. We always love Mitumba because, number one, it's affordable, good quality, and fashionable. It's not something that somebody will compete with you when you put on your Mitumba dress. It's not possible to find somebody else with the same dress you are wearing. That's why we love Mitumba. Number one, we are over 2 million people who are trading in this business. 2 million people, over 2 million people who are directly employed by this trade. When we talk about how many people wear Mitumba, we are talking about over 80% of Kenyans. Over 80% of Kenyans. It doesn't matter whether they are high class or low class. We also have high class markets, like toy market. Toy market is for the big bosses. Anybody who feels they have their money, they go to toy market, because toy market, they are very popular with the camera. Camera is the number one clothes, the first selection in a bill. They go to toy market. So we are over 80% of Kenyans who are wearing Mitumba. There is another group of people. They are not wearing because they have money. They are wearing because they cannot afford a new clothes. And those are the majority. That is over 50% of Kenyans.
What do you mean they cannot afford new clothes?
Yeah, because new clothes are expensive. And over 50% of Kenyans, they live below poverty line. There are people who live below $2 a day. So if somebody is living below $2 a day, that means asking them to buy something that is worth 1,000 is a little bit too expensive. But with this 1,000, they are able to clothe the whole family. They're able to dress the whole family with Mitumba. Yeah.
So why is Mitumba so cheap?
The Mitumba is cheap because initially, even from the source, it is supposed to be like charity. Even when they come here in Africa, they are charity. It's supposed to be charity. That's why they are compressed in one bale. Mitumba means compressed together. That's what it means. When you put them together and you bale them, that's what we call Mitumba. And when they come, the cost that we pay for Mitumba is not actually the cost of buying the clothes. It's the cost of dealing with labor. The labor, there is, even if they collect as donations, because Mitumba is collected as donations in abroad, they are collected as donations. Even if they are collected as donations, they need to be transported. So there has to be some charge for collection, for transportation, and number two, now preparation of that Mitumba, the labor for sorting, baling, and literally warehousing, all those things. So by the time they get here, the only big issue that we have is our government. They do not understand that these clothes are supposed to come here as donations. They have imposed some duty. Now the problem is they have made this to be like a booming business for the government. Right now we are paying over 15,000 in terms of duty.
15,000 what?
Over $15,000 per container, per 40-foot container. We are paying over $15,000. So if we are paying over $15,000, now that's where now Mitumba is becoming costly. But Mitumba is supposed to be cheaper clothes for people who are poor in sub-Saharan Africa and other Western countries which are also poor.
Okay, so the initial thing was that there were folks, I mean, we hear about those organizations like the Salvation Army,
yes,
and people like that who would put together clothes that were not being used, and then they would send them off
yes,
to other places where people needed them.
Yes.
So then at what point did it change from clothes donations
yes,
to then people actually, because we know that happens,
yes,
that people actually searching out for them and saying, well, I'm looking for a bale of whatever.
Yes.
A bale of boots or a bale of something.
Yeah.
And then it became a business. What happened?
Yeah, the people like Salvation Army, Red Cross, and Savers, they are people licensed by their governments to collect clothes for charity. But these are too many clothes that cannot be given to people. The only thing you can do is to turn these clothes into money. So after now they give out the clothes that are needed maybe in Europe or in America, then the balance of those clothes is too much. So they have to have warehouse, they have to sort them, and they have to sell them to other African countries who need it. And these people now, when we buy, we are not actually buying very expensive. If you look at it critically, the prices of how much we buy, they make some small profit. But what they do majorly is to make sure they cover their cost of transport, warehousing, and the sorting. And sorting is very expensive because labor in Western countries is very expensive. That's how now we get to buy them in a few dollars. But it's supposed to be a donation, it's supposed to be gift. And if you look at it today, the reason you cannot buy new clothes built together is because labor, these clothes are very expensive. But with Mitumba, because initially they were given for free, what is needed is just to cover the charges. That's how we are able now to have a business of Mitumba.
So it changed because what? Those who were giving the donations realized that they could start making some money, or what changed? Because now, let's say, I want to start a business.
Yes.
Right? And I say, okay, well, these are the kind of clothes that I want to sell. Whether I go through the association or whomever, I will not get it for free, because the assumption is that the people that you spoke about, Savers, Red Cross, whatever, is that I can get a bill and I can go distribute in my neighborhood. But that's not the case. I have to buy the bill.
Yes.
So at what point did it change from a donation that you sent across the sea to then now you pay before it comes?
Because of what I have just explained. It has to be business, because the people who have received it as donation, they actually have to pay for it.
Voilà,
They have to pay for the transport. They have to pay for warehousing. They also have to pay for sorting. And sorting, as I said, in Western countries is very expensive because you pay people by the hour. That's why they have to build them and sell them. But the price that you buy, let's say, for example, a t-shirt. A t-shirt is costing maybe 10,000 or 15,000. That t-shirt, shillings, 15,000 shillings. If it is costing 15,000 shillings, and inside that bale, 45 kgs, it has about 250 to 300 pieces. Is that not almost like a donation? That's how we are able to pass this business to our value chain. We are able to cater for the camera, the person who gets the best, the person who gets the second best, the third best, and then the fagia. The fagia is a terminology that is used for people who buy the last in a consignment or in a bill. The people who come last and buy. That does not mean that what they are buying is bad. Maybe what is remaining there is not trendy.
After the selection by
After
others.
the selection, the people who select, they do not necessarily select the new. They only select what is trending. Nairobi is one of the most trendy country in Africa. There is very fashionable. So what they mean with camera is selection of what is trending, what is moving in a market. It is possible to find fagia with clothes that still have their tags on, simply because they are not trendy. You find them now going to the village at a very, very cheap price.
I see.
Yes.
So this entire chain is somebody in a Western country.
Yes.
From their home, they looked at their wardrobe.
Yes.
They picked some items they felt, I don't want to.
I don't need them.
I don't need them. They take them to a center. And
Yes.
this center, let's say, is run by...
It's a collection point.
It's a collection point.
Yeah, they are those bins
Okay.
put everywhere in the West.
So let's then say that this one is managed by Salvation Army. So
Yes.
Salvation Army picks from this collection point, from several collection points, and takes them to one central location.
Yeah, warehouse.
A warehouse.
Yes.
And they then distribute some to those who are needy within that country.
Yes.
Then they've got to start sorting them out. And sorting here means what? Putting aside
Yes, sorting
T-shirt, jeans,
yeah,
curtains.
sorting means separating them according to country's demand. Like in Kenya, we have protocols of importation.
Okay.
We do not just import. we have protocols of importation, and one of the protocol is that you have to separate them. You have to have a bale of shirt, you have to have a bale of trouser, you have to have a bale of everything separate.
Okay.
The only mixed item that we take is the children clothing. That's on what they mix.
Everything else, if
has
it's a
to be
bale,
separate.
it's t-shirts, it's t-shirts.
It is t-shirt, and if it is round neck, it's round neck.
Oh, you can't just have a old t-shirts.
Yeah. We still have, but Kenya in particular it has established its own way of doing this business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where now the cost element starts coming in.
Yeah, the
Because
cost
you're
element.
paying for the warehouse,
Yeah.
you're paying for the people who are going to do the sorting and all that.
Yes.
And then you will transport that thing to
Yes.
the recipient country, Kenya.
Not even there. Even locally within the Western country, the point of corrections, they have to have trucks that are collecting these clothes. These clothes are not collected from one point. They are collected from different locations. You discover that one person has let's say savers. They have 500 bins. So these 500 bins, they need a truck that will be going around almost daily collecting these clothes. So this is a labor implication. They also have this person who they have employed specifically to be a driver for this. They also have this warehouse that they have specifically they are doing this business in. Specifically they have these sorters, they have managers, they have quality controllers, they have all these kind of people. Is a booming business. It's a warehouse that is very, very busy. Okay. But what I said, if you buy a bale, for example, of t-shirt, you buy it at 15,000, then you discover that bale has almost 300 pieces. So if you divide the 300 pieces with 15,000, you will discover you are buying it very, very cheap. You are buying it very cheap. It is almost like somebody told you, I want to bless you with this business. You see?
Yeah.
That's why this business is a blessing to Africa. Okay. Because it is catering to even the person who has the least of money.
And okay, and this is on both sides.
Yes.
For the buyer as well as the seller.
Yes. Yes.
Because the person who is entering into business for what you've said,
yes,
you can actually buy this and actually start to make some money.
Yes.
And anybody
can purchase. I personally, I started at 3,000. My basic capital was 3,000 Kenya shillings. And I bought what people are calling fagia. What people think is waste is not waste. It's good quality clothes that are not trendy in the city, but they will be very trendy in the outskirts. For example, I bought my fagia and I went with it to Roiro. That was where I started, at 3,000 shillings. As a business person with 3,000 shillings, today I am where I am, but my starting point was 3,000. Many people will look at 3,000. If you go to Isli, how many clothes can you buy at 3,000? But if you go to Gekomba, it's too many. Too many. Anybody who, I was telling some people the other day, if you are renting a house of 5,000 shillings in Nairobi, and you are not working, then you are not serious. You need to start a business. 5,000 is a lot of money in the business world. For example, if you come to Gekomba, you can buy something, things for 1,000. You can come and select. You can come and fagia with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. And in the future, you will discover that the business grows. I started at 3,000. That was the year 1996. And within 6 years, I was able to even buy a container.
Now you're an importer.
Yes. So you see, I bought fagia. And that fagia, I took it somewhere. I sold it. And that became my business. I continued, you know. So this business supports business people and people who are wearing these clothes. Yeah, the business person with the little money, you can purchase these clothes.
Okay.
And now the person who is wearing with less money, 20 shillings, you are able to buy something.
Something to buy. The Mitumba industry, though, has had some negative publicity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Some perceptions. Number one perception for a long time, Mitumba is dead people clothes.
Yes.
That you're coming to dump to us. Here.
Yes.
So you're basically using Kenya and other African countries as dumping ground.
Yes.
For what you do not want, you rich people in the West.
Yes.
Secondly, that because of this dumping and all, then there's issues of quality and standards of what you're bringing to the country.
Yes.
So you're basically looking for somewhere where you want to go and dump, and you come and you see these poor people because they are poor and they don't have clothes. And so it's an insult to us.
Yeah.
People. And number two, it's basically just disorganized and using us to dump. How do you respond to this?
Number one, I want to say Kenya has imported used clothes for more than 40 years now. More than 40 years, Kenya has been importing these clothes. So over the years, the Kenyan government has developed protocols of importation of used clothes into the country. So Kenya does not just import. There are protocols that are followed to make sure that we import what is good quality into Kenya. So we are not just importing. We are regulated by Kenya Bureau of Standard. We know what we bring in is not waste. Number two, the Western countries, they have been getting a lot of negative reports from people who have motives. People who have their own selfish agendas have been publicizing very negative reports. For example, there's somebody calling themselves Changing Market Foundation. They have been publicizing documents that Africa, we are importing over 40% waste. And in one container, 40% is waste. How is that possible? The Kenyan government, we are paying them about $15,000. $15,000 is paid directly to the government
for a container,
for one 40-foot container. And then we have like $5,000 that is paid as shipping, getting this consignment from the source to Kenya is about $5,000. How can somebody pay $5,000 plus $15,000 plus the purchase price to have 40% as waste? Does that make economic sense?
What does waste mean?
They are saying 40% is waste.
What does waste? What do they mean by waste?
I don't know what they mean, but I know we are not importing waste. Nobody in their own right mind will buy to come and dump in Africa. Every country have their own problems with the dumping. So even the sorting centers, they have their own issues with the dumping. But when it comes to the Mitumba traders, nobody is importing waste. It is not possible. It is not sustainable. Right now, as I have told you, we are looking at about $20,000 getting a 140-foot container into Kenya. Shipping plus duty is about $20,000. Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody do that? I believe it is very cheap to dump in Europe than to ship and dump in Kenya. You see?
It would be more costly to come and dump here.
It is more costly. It's not sustainable. It does not make economic sense. Changing Market Foundation has publicized, he wrote a report that we are importing 40% waste. And I think he was implying to Fagia. And that's why I have talked about Fagia. Fagia is not waste. Fagia is clothes that are less trendy in the city, but can be worn in the villages or in the slums. They are cheaper clothes because in the city, the business people who are doing this business, they do not sell the last one. They sell a certain percentage. Then they give these ones cheaper to other people who are in the villages,
but the
who are
bottom
in
line,
the slums.
The bottom line is that every item in that container meets the standard that's set
we
by
only have about 2% that we can say is waste, because it will not be fair for me to say to sit here and say we do not have even 1%. I will say 2% is waste because these clothes are sorted by people, and it's possible for one to make a mistake in a bale. It's possible.
What do you mean by 2% being waste? Is it waste that it is something that cannot be worn, it's torn
It is something that can have a problem in every bale. it is possible to see few pieces, 1 or 2 or 3 pieces that has issues, but was not intended from the source. Because from the source, they know what they do with the waste. They have a way of dealing with it. For me as an importer, if my supplier sends me more than 2% waste, that means next time I'll have a problem with him. I will not buy from him because the market is very competitive.
Right.
You have to have the best quality for you to maintain your clientele. This is professional business.
Let's take a break. This conversation continues shortly. What's the impact of the Mitumba industry in Kenya? Teresia Wairimu, the chairperson of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, tells us, number one, there are over 2 million direct traders of Mitumba in the country. Number two, according to the association, over 80% of Kenyans wear second-hand clothes. All these are imported. The government is making 15,000 USD per each 40-foot container as duty. There's a lot of money. So it's a multi-billion shilling industry.
Yeah.
And then now these questions come in. How do they ensure quality? How do we ensure that what is coming into the country is at least fit for purpose, is fit for humans to wear? Those are the questions we'll be asking shortly after this break. Keep it here.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Embark on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Africa at the Festac Africa Festival 2024, Destination Kisumu. Join us from May 20th to 26th for Africa's celebration of global culture, fashion, music, dance, and more. Immerse yourself in a week-long extravaganza featuring professionals from across the continent as we explore the theme of sustainable growth trajectory for Africa through culture, trade, travel, and tourism. Don't miss this opportunity to experience the vibrant diversity and boundless energy of Africa in just 7 days. Warua Kidala.
I've got a plan to make my investment season hotter than a Sunday barbecue grill. ICEA Lion has a plan for everyone. Talk to us today for a plan that's right for you. Or visit icealion.co.ke. ICEA Lion. What's your
Bit of
plan?
sunshine in Nairobi at the moment, 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 25 and highs of 26, and a cloudy Nakuru at 18. It's 17 and partly sunny in Nyeri with highs of 25, and it's cloudy at 16 in Eldoret with highs of 25. Sunny at 27 in Mombasa, going to highs of 33, and Malindi will see highs of 33, where it's currently sunny at 28. 22 and cloudy in Kisumu with highs of 30, while into Kakamega at 19, it's partly sunny with highs of 29. Mostly cloudy at 22 in Kampala with highs of 28, while at 26, Dar es Salaam is sunny with highs of 31. Johannesburg is 10 degrees and cloudy with highs of 18, and Mogadishu at 29 is sunny with highs of 33. 15 and sunny in Addis Ababa, going to highs of 25, while at Lagos is cloudy at 28. We'll see highs of 35. It's cloudy at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 32.
Some very nice, much fun music.
really took me back to my days, and I can just feel and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You played the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
Right, we're looking at heavy traffic on the Thika Superhighway as you're coming through towards Survey, and then out towards Moranga Road, but I think we're fine. Globson, roundabout, that traffic drama ended. On Kiambu Road, also pretty busy as you approach Muthaiga Square. It's busy on Landis coming in from Jogo Road and then out towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. Kangunda Road, some traffic as you come up from Mamalusi out towards the Outer Ring Junction, and a little bit of that on Outer Ring as well. It's busy coming in from Cabanas towards North Airport Road, so that's busy. And it's Friday. For some reason, on every Friday, there's traffic on Magadi Road. Coming in all the way from Multimedia University through towards the Galleria Mall, and then out towards Langata Road. That's busy. So just pockets here and there. We'll keep an eye on things. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Spice up your life.
(23:08). Our conversation continues with the chair of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, Teresia Wairimo, the impact of the Mitumba industry. So yes, some reports have been published by Clean Up Kenya. About 40% of the clothes, Mitumba clothes sold in this country are waste.
Yes.
And you said 2%.
Yes.
Have you done any studies as a Mitumba Consortium Association?
Yes, that's the last study that we did after the Clean Up Kenya did their report that 40% is waste. We also had to do something. We did our own report, which indicated that only 2% that comes into Kenya is waste. Because it does not make economic sense. Why would somebody import 40% waste? Is it sustainable? No. Nobody can do that. We are not stupid. These are business people. Importers are business people who are out there to make money, not to lose money.
Okay.
Nobody will import waste.
So this 2%
Yes.
that comes in as waste,
Yes.
what do you do with it?
No, actually, it is not intended waste. It is something that is not intended. So you can open a bill and find 2%, and you can find a bill and not find the 2%. That's why we wanted to be fair. We don't want to say, we are very good, 100%. No, we want to say, actually, it is possible to get 2% because these clothes are sorted by people. And sometimes it's possible for somebody not to see something that is torn, a dress that has a hole somewhere, is torn somewhere. It's possible. Somebody might not see it.
So where does it end up?
Yeah, that one now end up in, there are so many places, so many things that we do with the old clothes in Africa, as you know. They are sold as rags, they are sold as wipers, they are sold as, these clothes are sold as everything. They can become rags in the house, they can be used to make rags and mops. There are people who buy those. Yeah.
So they'll still end up being
everything in the market can be sold.
So even what is considered waste, that 2% can actually be repurposed for something else.
Everything is repurposed for something else. Even those clothes that we call waste. If I bring a jacket like this and it is torn, it has a hole somewhere. We also have fundis in the market. So this jacket will be taken to the fundi and it will be fixed. Maybe it's torn somewhere that is visible. That's where you find we have labels. You will discover something has a label saying filler. Tommy Hilfiger. When you see that label saying Tommy Hilfiger there, it does not mean it's coming from the company with that. It's the Mitumba people because they are very creative. There was a hole, we have to cover it.
A patch.
So it's a patch. But a designer patch,
makes it look good.
It will they'll make it look very nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything here, before we call our clothes, they are at the end of life here in Africa. It has to really be used. It has to really be used.
Now in Europe,
yes,
where these clothes are coming from,
yes,
there's some conversation that's taking place in those markets.
Yes.
That because, this has been categorized as dumping in Africa.
Yes.
And it's an unethical business.
Yes.
That they should stop sending these clothes to Africa.
Yes.
And this conversation is gaining momentum.
Yes.
How are you responding to that?
Yeah, I want to respond to it very simply. That the French government initiated these discussions, and we do not understand why they are finding that textile business is a problem to the climate or to the environment, because obviously we have other serious issues than the textiles. So talking about textiles, they have followed misinformation. There is a European article that spoke about 40% waste in Africa. There is a foundation, it's called OR Foundation. OR Foundation, they made a report trying to insinuate that Europeans are dumping their waste into Africa. So they did this report. They said they have pictures and photos from Ghana indicating they have mountains of textile waste. And when we spoke to our Ghana counterparts, there is no mountain like that. There is no waste like that. So these are people who are clearly, they have an agenda.
To what end?
Yeah, OR Foundation, recently they were funded by the Shein, fast fashion giant from China. He funded them $15 million. So clearly, when they start now speaking ill against Mitumba, then we know why. They received a hefty donation. So Shein has already penetrated the European market. It's very vibrant. So the next market they are eyeing is Africa.
So because we do not know for sure those allegations that you made are real, let's move back into how are you, as the Mitumba Consortium Association,
first of all,
addressing these concerns?
Yes.
So let's say the French government has taken up this matter.
Yes.
And the French government is initiating conversations
yes.
on stopping the exportation of second-hand clothing from France to Africa. What are you doing?
First of all, I want to back a little bit and say these are not just allegations. It is in the public domain that the OR Foundation have received $15 million from Shein as donation in the foundation.
Yes, that could be true.
South Africa.
It is just now the connection between that fact and the insinuation that they are there for now, playing an underhand conversation. That's where we want to draw that line.
Yes.
Okay. So let's get back to the facts. What are you doing?
Yes.
To address those European countries?
Yes, my main agenda is to try to talk to the policymakers, people who advise governments on policies. That has been my main campaign. I have been to these 6 European countries. I have been to Lithuania. I was in Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Brussels, that's Belgium, and Holland. I have sat down with the policymakers, trying to talk to them about the reality in the market, because what they are seeing are documents written by people in the offices. I need to show them the reality on the ground, and the reality is very simple. In Kenya, it's 2 million people who are employed by this trade. 2 million people. So if you sit in an office and discuss about jobs of 2 million people, you have no idea how they survive. This is Africa. When I get there, I tell them the reality is in Africa you lose one job. It's not easy to find another job. It's not easy to find another job. And the people who are so much successful in this trade are housewives, people with no university or college education, people who have no vocational education, and our young men who are leaving school, before they find another job, they start this business because it's easy to start. So my main agenda is to speak to these people, to show them the sense and to tell them Africans are not stupid. They are not given these clothes by force, by some mzungu in an office. You, because you are stupid African, you buy this waste. No, we are professional people. This business is very professional, especially in Kenya. Over 40 years of this business, the government has already developed protocols, and these protocols have been revised over time. We revised them in 2020. We are still continuing. So in Kenya, we have protocols of importation. The government is aware of how we are importing and what we are importing into the country. So my main agenda is to speak to these people, policymakers, so that they can speak sense to these people. Because number one, these articles that are written by people in big offices, they are trying to attract money because these are foundations. And everything, let's speak the truth, everything, even these people calling themselves, we are a non-profit organization, we are a foundation, all of them are business people. That's why they receive donations. You don't do that for 1 year without money. You need money for yourself, for your organization. So everybody is doing it for money. Number one, I spoke about OR Foundation because she's the person who wrote these documents to the French government, and the French government bought it. She is a person who has received a hefty donation from Fast Fashion. So Fast Fashion is number one now in South Africa. He is number one in South Africa. So the next destination is where? Is the Mitumba places where we are buying Mitumba. Banning the exportation of Mitumba into Kenya is a direct promotion of cheap clothing from Asia. Is a direct promotion of cheap quality clothes from Asia. If we don't buy Mitumba, then we promote something else.
Teresi, there are very many competing conversations in all of this. And even as you say that, then of course our eyes are cast wide and say, okay, if there's such insistence on the banning of Mitumba importation to Kenya or other countries around Africa or other places, then perhaps on the other side there's a benefit to somebody. That's not ignored, and you can see that. The intrigues and the details of that then, of course, based on facts, then would be interesting to look into. One of the other parallel conversations is that the importation of Mitumba stifles the textile or manufacturing industry in Kenya. That can Kenya have a thriving and robust textile industry where it's producing its own clothing for the wear of Kenyans? And that this industry is exactly doing just that. It's stifling that opportunity to produce and also for Kenyans to wear locally manufactured clothing. What would you say about that?
I want to say that Kenya is a very competitive market, and that is to mean that textile, our local textile and Mitumba can coexist. They can compete in the market. It is about the demand and the supply and the affordability of the person buying, the power of a person making choice. It is possible for them to drive together. So what it means in Kenya, we are the biggest supporters of revival of our textile industry. As you may know, we do not have an existing textile industry in Kenya, simply because we don't have enough cotton. We do not, our gineries are like they are locked down, almost 100%. So we have had this conversation before, even with the government. And we as Mitumba Consortium, we committed ourselves in promoting the government in revival of local textile industry. Why? Because we also want to see our country growing and moving forward. So number one, we want to support the government in growing the cotton. We must go back to farming for us to say we are reviving our textile industry. Because as per now, if we say we are reviving textile industry, that means we go to Asia to start buying materials for our fundis to make clothes. And that means the clothes will be very expensive. But if we want to revive our textile industry, we have to do it all the way from growing the cotton, reviving our gineries, and going back to the villages for vocational trainings, raising mafundis there. Then we can now say we are having a thriving textile industry in Kenya after we do that. But as per now, Mitumba and our textile industry, they can coexist, they can work together.
So you don't find that the Mitumba is actually stifling the development of the local industry?
No.
And you don't find that the revival of the local textile industry would outcompete the Mitumba?
It is okay. Let them compete. Let them outdo each other. But let nobody kill the industry. Let nobody kill it. Let the market kill it.
Okay.
So if we have our local textile, cheap clothes, and the Mitumba, Now that means the person buying has the power to choose.
Okay.
Because our new clothes, our textile is cheap. Mitumba is cheap. Let the person have power to choose.
So what I'm hearing from you is that according to the Mitumba Association,
yes,
your biggest threat is not local textile.
No.
Your biggest threat is cheaper imports, particularly from Asian countries.
Yes.
So why is that a threat?
No, it's not actually a threat. We look at it we look at it in terms of our environment. These clothes, you cannot wash them 5 times.
Which ones?
The new clothes that are coming from Asia.
Okay.
You cannot wash them 5 times. So if you cannot wash them 5 times, that means we have a lot of waste. We have a lot of textile waste. These clothes, the manufacturers need to manufacture good quality clothes, something that can take 2 lives. That's why we promote Mitumba, good quality clothes that are taking 2-3 lives. They can be passed over. The world is not about manufacturing. The world is about reuse and recycle, circularity. That's what we are promoting. And we are very happy because Europe is talking about circularity. And again, they are talking about banning the expectation of Mitumba. And this is why I've been meeting them, trying to ask them, now you are the biggest promoters of circular economy. So we are the promoters of circular economy in terms of textile. So what are you talking about? What are you trying to say?
What's their response to this? Because, I mean, it sounds obvious.
Yeah.
If you are thinking about a circular economy,
yes,
you have to think after first use, second use,
yes,
up to the end,
yes,
where this goes to. If the European governments, where they know that this second reused clothes are getting into the Salvation Armies and all these other charitable organizations, they go into charity. It's more than enough for their local population, so it has to leave the country. When they say that we're considering banning exportation of second-hand clothes from our country, what are they proposing?
I think they are basing their decisions on false information. They are not even sure of what they mean by saying we want to stop the exportation of used clothes into Africa, because only 5% in Europe buy used clothes. Only 5% they buy used clothes. So the rest, they don't have anywhere to take them. So what they want to do actually is to impose regulations that will control the exportation of Mitumba into African countries. And these regulations will affect millions of people, because for any policy to be passed, it takes like, in Europe is 1 to 3 years. In Kenya is about a whole year if we are to have new regulations. So we are talking to these governments. We do not need these new regulations. Our government has already put in place regulations of how to import used clothes. We do not need Europe talking about Mitumba, a business they have no idea. Some big short men in French government came up with this idea of regulating the exportation of Mitumba. Exporters of Mitumba are professional people and business people who are making their living from this. And bringing up these regulations is putting at risk millions of jobs in Africa. In East Africa alone is about 3.4 million. In Kenya is about 2 million. And in Kenya is about 20 million, over 20 million people depend on used clothing business. So many livelihoods will be put at risk when we follow these policies that they are trying to put in place. So our government has supported us. And even today in this broadcast, I will continue to talk to our president. We need him to consider lowering the importation of duty. This is too much. Over $15,000 is too much. We need him to consider us. Let's sit down. So many people have stopped importing. There are so many people are being rendered jobless because this is too much. Over 20,000 in duty and shipping is too much. We need the president, because he said he bought his first shoe. That was Mitumba at class 7. So if he bought at class 7 his first shoe in Mitumba, then he knows how people are
He
suffering.
knows the value of Mitumba.
Yeah, he knows the value of Mitumba, and he knows how Mitumba is helping people. So we need him, and we are asking him to really consider Mitumba people and give us an opportunity to explain to him so that he can lower the duty. It is for the good of Kenyan people, the common mwananchi.
Is there any African country that has banned importation of second-hand clothes?
Apart from Rwanda, I don't know any other.
What's the reason that Rwanda did this?
Rwanda said they want to promote their local textile, and which is not existence. They only have one factory that is doing it. So what they did, you ban the importation of used clothes. You promote the importation of cheap quality clothes. Very cheap quality clothes. That's what is happening. He needs to open his eyes and see. We all need to talk about circularity. We need to talk about circular economy, not manufacturing. Yeah.
Okay. So what do we have as a current situation today? I'm looking at Nairobi, and there's so many satellite, areas where the Mitumba business then is thriving, and then there are folks like you've said who might be slightly apprehensive or scared to continue with the business.
Yes.
Do you see that it is a sustainable source? Because we've already established that it's income for people. It's an option for others. It's sustainable.
Yeah, I think the right word to say, people are not scared to continue. People have been thrown out of business. This is Africa. We do not have many options. You don't stop this because you have this. What you have is what you got. So people have been thrown out by circumstances out of this business because it's becoming too expensive for an importer to pay 20,000 just to have 140-foot container into the country. That is too much money. That's why we need the government to reconsider so that we can have more of our people in business, creating good environment and good livelihoods for the people. For that matter is dignified life. So we need to come back to the government to help us. This business is a business that you can depend on because it's a business you can start with a very small amount of money and you can sustain it. It is a business that have great testimonies. Like myself, I started with 3,000 Kenya shillings. Look at me today. I do not have degrees. I do not have that much education, but I know what this business has raised my standard to where I am today. Yeah.
Teresia, thank you very much again for joining us today.
Yes.
And for articulating the issues on behalf of your members of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, seeking to get all of us to understand the impact of the Mitumba industry, not just for the economy, but also just for people, in terms of the social impact of the Mitumba industry, the number of people who end up wearing these clothes, the number of people who are employed in this sector. Teresia Wairimo, the chairperson of the Mitumba Consortium Association of Kenya, 8 a.m. news time.
Spice up your life.
I'm Dennis Aseto. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops has said that the high level of taxation in the country has led to mental distress among citizens. The bishops added that the cost of living in Kenya has seen a sharp rise in the last 3 years.
On several occasions, we have addressed the issue of the cost of living and overtaxation. The reality of ordinary Kenyans is that they are struggling financially, which has often led them to mental distress. The last 3 years have seen a very sharp rise in the cost of living. At the same time, food produce has fetched an all-time low price in the market.
According to KCCB, Kenyans, the cost of living as well as heavy taxation have only been propagated by corruption in government. The bishops further added that the goal of a nation should be to ensure that every citizen can meet their basic needs.
While Kenyans are doing everything possible to adapt to the high cost of living, the church stands with those who cannot afford to get food on the table, to take children to school, and to pay medical bills. Unemployment also is at its height. Moreover, we continue to be heavily taxed by corruption in our services systems. The issue of overtaxation should therefore be understood within this context. What must we do to support the suffering Kenyans? It must be our aim as a nation to make the ordinary Kenyans at least meet their basic needs.
As services in public hospitals grind to a halt, the options for patients continue to narrow down as failure by the government to pay Catholic-sponsored mission hospitals is paralyzing operations in the facilities that would have provided a reprieve for those who cannot afford private hospitals. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops says pending National Health Insurance Fund claims amounting to 2 billion shillings have severely hampered operations across their facilities. The clergy also called for an urgent solution to the ongoing healthcare crisis occasioned by the striking medics, saying it is causing untold suffering on helpless Kenyans. Now, the public sector trade unions in the country have blamed the Salaries and Remuneration Commission for the ongoing strikes in the health sector. Principal Administrative Officer at Kenya County Government Workers Union, Kevin Owango, stated that there has been an incessant trend by SRC to disrupt and interfere with the rights of the workers. Owango indicated that the public sector unions are keenly watching the trend and will be forced to get in at an appropriate time to ensure rights of workers are addressed. Owango noted that SRC is hell-bent on killing the trade unions movements in the country by setting salaries without any negotiations. Now, the government is set to employ 20,000 junior secondary school teachers and promote over 30,000 more from June this year. This was agreed at the end of a 6-day joint meeting between the Teacher Service Commission and the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers held at Sawera Lodge in Naivasha. Kupet National Chairperson Mboko Milemba said 4 billion shillings would be required for the employment of the 20,000 teachers who would come in handy in addressing the crisis in JSS across the country.
The Commission has alleviated the Kupet's concerns about the promotion.
That is Secretary General Akelo Missouri, who said that of the 20,000 teachers who would be employed in JSS, at least 20,000 would be posted to ASOL regions.
The Commission has alleviated the Kupet's concerns about the promotion of teachers not in the payroll. Kupet also petitioned the Commission to include junior secondary school teachers who are currently operating in the dark. In particular, junior secondary schools where only 2 teachers per stream currently handle all the learning areas.
He added that TSC had agreed that in January 2025, it would convert all the 26,000 intern teachers recruited in 2023 to permanent and pensionable terms.
The promise they have already asked the Parliament for them to employ the 20,000 teachers is a total of 4 billion Kenya shillings. And then we have the 26,000 teachers who are supposed to be confirmed to PNP. That will cost the tune of 7.8 billion Kenya shillings. And that will be able to accommodate those 2 areas.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Traffic in the city is not going to be too terrible today from all that we've seen this morning. We're just seeing a little bit of roundabout survey and then coming into the city. Today on the southern bypass looks good. Magadi Road is packing up as you get towards that Langata Road junction, but really the Thika Superhighway and then a bit of Kangundo Road here and there with some traffic. Jogo Road is busy getting onto Landis, and then also coming in from Ngong Road into the city centre this morning. That is also kind of busy here and there. Let's keep an eye on things. Will you help us out as well? We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How are you doing? Welcome to the third of Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. Okay. So this Friday, the 12th day of April 2024, is a day that ICA Lion would like to have a conversation with you and tell you, you know what, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're thinking of. It doesn't matter what you think, what a plan should look like. It's okay. The thing is, do you have an ambition for doing something in the near future? Whether it's the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in a year, in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years, in the next 60 years, whatever the plan is, okay, what are you doing about it? Can we help you in actualizing your plan? Yes, we can. That is what ICA Lion says. Stop waiting for the right moment. It's already here. Time is your most valuable asset. Spend it wisely with ICA Lion's time-saving financial tools and focus on who and what matters most. So you have this plan, you're thinking what to do, you're thinking, okay, I want to buy a new car, I want to buy a new house, I want to buy a plot, I want to start building, I want to build in the next such a long time, I want to take my children to education, I want to school, I want to get back to school myself, whatever you're thinking. I want to get into financial independence, I want to go into early retirement, I want to retire by the time I'm 30. For example, yes. For example, me, I want to. By the time I hit 30,
you want to retire. Okay. Retirement. So you need a plan like now.
I need a plan today. Okay. Working backwards 16 years. I want retirement by the time I'm 30. Okay. What is it? ICA Lion says, come and talk to us. plan@icealion.co.ke. That's an email. plan.icealion.co.ke. That's a website. Okay? The difference is at or dot. plan.icealion.co.ke. Write that down on the browser. It'll open a website. On that website, you'll find a lot more information about ICA Lion and what they're talking about. And also, you'll get their contact details. Also, you'll see where they are located countrywide. Also, you'll find a chatbot there. Just open the chat and start saying, hi. Somebody on the other side will tell you, hi. How can we help you today? I need a plan. It's okay. What is? Come. We can sort you out. We cannot give you a plan. It's your plan. We will help you to decide what plan you have, and we'll walk the journey with you. Silio. The plan of the government right now is to address the rising number of road accidents in the country. That's the plan. And the agency that's responsible for road safety on our roads is the National Transport and Safety Authority. Say that. National Transport and Safety Authority. We've got an official from the NTSA here with us this morning. We've been talking about road safety for a while. Yesterday we spoke with the CEO of the Matatu Owners Association. Soon we are going to have a conversation with the Cabinet Secretary for Road and Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen. I'm sure he'll want to be back here. But today, Samuel Musumba, the Road Safety and Safety Strategies Manager at NTSA, is on the hot seat. Samuel, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Karibu sana. Yeah. That is the hot seat of the Situation Room, but make yourself comfortable.
Oh, it's cold. Incidentally.
Inside. We particularly and especially made it cold because we knew you were coming.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be hot.
Just so that you get comfortable.
Thank you.
And then we shall now start heating up the seat a little bit as we go.
Thank you.
But to welcome you to the conversation on behalf of our colleague C.T. Muga, who's not in today. I've got the day's proverb. You know what C.T. does. Every week he goes across Africa. He lands in one country and says, let me find out what proverbs the Wahenga of this country have come up with. This week he landed in the kingdom of Morocco. Have you been to Morocco, Samuel?
No.
What do you know about Morocco? Like, do you know a city in Morocco?
Is it North Africa? That part of it. Our brothers, I think, are so different from us. They're more Arabic kind of origin, I would say. So Muslim by faith. I think that is critical. Just a bit of that. And it's partly desert, I know. Fairly desert.
Yes.
Compared to the other areas of Africa.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a bit of that.
You're right. Very many aspects. Number one, religion. 99.6% of the people in Morocco practice Islam, with Sunni Islam being 99.2% and Shia 0.45%. The other religions, they are Baha'i 0.1%, Christians 0.09%, Jews 0.01%, and agnostics 0.13%. The population of the people of Morocco is just about what? I had a population numbers here. I'll tell you shortly. But the capital city of Morocco is Rabat. The largest city in Morocco is Casablanca. Okay. Okay.
Now I know.
Now you know quite a bit about Morocco, the kingdom.
Yeah.
The king of Morocco?
Mohammed VI.
Mohammed VI. Okay. Today's proverb. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find the solution. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find the solution. What's your interpretation of that proverb?
I'll say like the Swahili say, There's a saying in Swahili which says what? Penye mwiba unakuchomea. I think that is where it comes from. If I have a problem, which may be my own creation or otherwise, I should be able to source for support here and there, think around it, maybe at personal level. If I can't manage, then reach out to somebody to assist. Because again, at the end of the day, all of us have problems, and individual problems at that.
Yes.
So I can't really guess what you're going through, and as much as I may want to come into your space, I may not do as much. It's actually you yourself. It hurts when people sometimes even just take away their lives because of they just didn't think about their problem and see, could I get a solution here? So it is like you say in the proverb, it's more individual. It's me because it's at the end of the day, it's my problem. Yeah, so it's the responsibility is me.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's a you problem, it's a you solution.
It's a you solution.
Let's talk about the current problem in the country. The statistics that were released by NTSA through the Cabinet Secretary recently, just looking at the road accidents and fatalities in this country in the first quarter of 2024, are showing a higher number of people have died in Kenya this first quarter compared to first quarter last year. By about what? By about 100 people?
Yeah, about 100 people. It has been so sad for us.
That's a high number.
It's a high number.
What's causing this?
If you look at January to date, the increase is largely attributed to some of the things that we have been talking about, and people seem not to be taking too seriously. If you look at the period then preceding that January, the period December and before, we had spirited campaigns just around issues that we think are causing these accidents on our roads. And we kept telling people, hey, can we be smart drivers on these roads? Can we be smart road users? A smart road user is cautious about my life and cautious about the life of the other person. If I'm this driver, passenger number one in this vehicle is me. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I do, but at the end of the day, it's my life that is number one here, which counts. And we talked about a couple of things: speeding, drinking and driving, this recklessness that we see, people just interfering even with the speed limiters. These are PSV vehicles and all that. But what do we see? When we thought January will be calmer, like what we saw in December, a bit of control. But again, come January, February, and onward, we see the upsurge again of these behaviors. And one wonders, why would you, for example, in January, when people even are thinking about school fees and all kinds of things, issues here and there, why would you even go to drink and drive, for example? Spot checks here and there on our roads, and you find people even drinking in the day. In fact, it is driving and drinking at the same time. You get all of this guy and there's beer in the car.
They've got alcohol with them.
With them. And you're wondering, really, why would you even do this? Some of them serious cases where this is a parent, a family. Looks like the father of this family. Kids are in the car. There's a can of Guinness or can of something, alcohol in the car. You start wondering, really, do we even love ourselves in the first place? So we've seen an upsurge of this, I'll call it very risky behavior, coming up really on our roads. Issue speeding, even when it's raining like this, you wonder, why would you even speed? Yet roads are very slippery. We've seen guys rolling on very slippery roads, and people are just speeding, and you wonder, really, what is all this? We even saw funny incidences the other day on the expressway. It was a bit flooded. And guys who are racing on that road, sort of wanting to show, and then they're recording, incidentally, Kenyans record the bad behavior they do. And they were recording each other, just wading through the water and all that. It is not heroic at all. It is very risky on our roads, and this is really compounding our problem. What actually you've informed us coming out recently, and you've seen as really a lot of enforcement and all that, is because of what we witnessed. And in the back end also, we are monitoring, particularly issues of speeds. We're really monitoring operations of these vehicles. And what we see, vehicles that have even gone through our inspection. And we've confirmed with their functional speed limiters, their roadworthy vehicles. But you wonder, why would we again start seeing incidences of speeding in our records? And that just shows that somebody is tampering with these gadgets. Somebody out of that, bad behavior, call it just bad behavior, is doing very mischievous things, while on the road. So a lot of this, I would say, in the recent past has really compounded our problem. We keep asking ourselves, really, where is this coming from? Why would you just be hell-bent not to obey a traffic law? Why would you be just hell-bent not to listen? And you've seen people dying, and we give as many examples as possible. But why would you still do the same thing that driver X did and ended up,
they died.
And died?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Samuel, from what I hear you saying, are you then attributing the increase in the number of road accidents that we have seen in the last 3 months and the deaths that we've seen, unfortunately, to bad behavior on the roads by drivers? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say 90% of the incidences we have reported, case by case by case, you realize this guy has just done a similar move like the other one. And you just keep asking yourself, then why are we not really learning from some of these incidences? We are not also ruling out other underlying issues, because also in the recent past, you realize this is a very seasoned driver, 30 years experience, 20 years experience, causing an accident. And you ask yourself, is it a question of, I don't know how to drive? No. I don't think that is the case.
It can't be.
Even if you took this guy for a retest, he'll pass.
Yes.
Well, it's just a matter of just a matter of maneuvering the car and all that. So you start now unpackaging that and realize, no, there must be another problem here. As much as this driver will say, it was brake failure, they will blame it on brake failure, blame it on the other person, aliningia vibaya, that kind of thing. But you realize there could be other underlying issues. And what we are realizing actually is that people are going through a lot of things. Mental health issues are now coming in as well. Stress-related issues are coming in. That when you do something and then you can't explain what you've done, that means your mind was not really here. You were not concentrating. And that means it's something else that could actually be pushing you to do that. And so as we try to unpackage that, and we're telling drivers, be honest enough to say, I'm going through problem X and Y. Your good proverb said, it's you who knows the problem. It's you really who must come up and say, I'm going through this stress. I'm going through these financial issues, maybe. I'm going through a couple of things. So then we look at what remedy should we, give you. But that is not coming out, particularly the male drivers. They don't speak out, then end up causing some of these accidents, and you can't even explain them. Why would you, do such a thing?
Samuel.
Yeah.
The information that you've given us, it sounds strong and compelling. Is it scientific or is it anecdotal? Is it observation? Do you have actual data that you say, from what we have observed, X number of accidents, the investigation that was conducted, we established for sure that the highest probability of the cause of this accident was this driver behavior, and the next and the next?
I'll tell you from our statistics, we investigate every incident. And it's a very comprehensive investigation that we do.
How do you look at?
We have a team of investigators who do that. Together with the National Police Service, we do a lot of this investigation. And our team looks at the following factors. One, the road. Is the road an issue here? How did the driver, for example, approach this space? Or was there signage? Was there maybe a bump or something? Then they also look at now the mechanical issues of the vehicle. What was the condition of this vehicle by the time it's getting into this incident? And so our inspectors will actually look at a number of things, braking systems and all that. They will look at the entire vehicle. How was it? What was the state of this vehicle? Was it even roadworthy to be on the road in the first place, like for passenger service vehicles? So they will look at all those records. Then three, we now start looking at this driver. What was the state of this driver by the time he's doing this, vis-a-vis the other drivers, for example? So you want really to understand, how was he coming? Was it a question of speed? And then what speeds was he doing? And what was like the motivation behind that speed? Was he overtaking? Then how did he behave in that kind of space? So these three should be able to really give us an understanding of really what transpired here before we condemn. We'd not rush to condemn, say, this driver is bad or something. We must get to the bottom of it.
You must conduct a proper investigation.
And that's why sometimes...
through our investigation is conducted. Let's say an accident has occurred, the latest one, Ngata, or the one involving the KU bus and the students. So take me through. This accident has happened. We have seen it publicly. There was a bus, there was an oncoming truck, there was another truck. How does the investigation begin?
No, it all starts with the first reporting. The first people to report the accident are the police, who arrive at the accident scene. And they have a very elaborate checklist that then they have to pick that report. It's called a P41 form, including even sketching really how the accident scene looks like, and they will be able to pick all that. And these days we even do take pictures as evidence just to be able to put up a good report. Now, based on that, once we get that alert, because they're the ones who will give the first alert and say, hey, an accident has happened here, 2 people have died, and this kind of thing involving, so they pick all that information. So once we get that, then we're able to analyze and see, then really how does it look like? Then now we send our team to the ground to start looking at, it's like more like fact finding. If you said and sketched that these are the scratch marks, this is how this vehicle behaved and all that, are we able to corroborate that information through also our investigation? So then while at the site, we're also able now to go through the finer details of each and every part of that report. Look at the road, for example. How is this guy coming in terms of speed? And then what are the speed limits around that area by the design of that road? Because most of the roads have those signages to indicate it's 100 kilometers per hour here, it's 50 and all that. So then we're able to pick that and say, then what speed was this vehicle doing? And that calls the mechanical guy to come in and say, hey, let me look at the speedometer of this vehicle. How was it moving at this point? Vis-a-vis the speed that has been provided, in that stretch of that vehicle. Of course, then our civil engineers are also there looking at this road. How is it like? What do we lack here? What was there that could have necessitated this accident to really have happened? And that is a lot of information, actually, you get. A lot of information. The mechanical issues of this vehicle and the road, there's a lot of information around it. Now, before now we get to the driver, and we're able to ask a couple of questions. If luckily the driver is still alive, there is so much information we get from this particular driver. What really happened? What really transpired? Because it's the guy behind the wheel. If not, then were there any other people who saw this? And Kenyans really are very good at witnessing. They are very good reporters. We saw Alikuja and this kind of thing. They're also able to give some information here and there. But that does not end there. If it's a passenger service vehicle, for example, we'll undertake an audit of that SACCO or company to also get to understand the safety status of even the other vehicles in that company or SACCO. And I will tell you, the issues that we've seen also in the recent past, is that when you go now to do the audit of this SACCO, you realize this guy is almost 80% or 90% not compliant. Or you still have also speed issues.
Compliant with what?
The law. Like, for example, you realize sometimes some of these vehicles are not even inspected. A good percentage are still doing high speeds, While you thought it was only this one, they realize even their speed limiters are not working for a number of those vehicles. You realize, And you check also the speed incidences by that company, because we do the back-end checks. We have a system that actually monitors, at the back end. They realize, hey, these guys actually have tampered with these gadgets. They've actually been speeding. Or sometimes they would work in cahoot with the speed governor dealers to tamper with those gadgets so that it only transmits a minimum speed.
Right.
Well, how would you explain a fleet of about, say, 50 vehicles transmitting the same speed, same stretch, like 70 kilometers per hour? I mean,
but
it's foolhardy.
NTSA is aware of this information, or
once we do those audits, then we're able to pick out this information, and that's where you see us really hitting hard sometimes on some of these companies. We even suspend them. Companies like just recently the Eldoret Express that we saw, the Kent Silver that went down the other day and all that. We realized majority of these vehicles, actually, these guys have tampered with these gadgets. And so we said, hey, you are completely road unworthy, suspended, until you comply with our regulations. And it's very punitive, by the way we do it. Because you can imagine suspending even just for a day or two.
Yeah.
You're not in business.
Yep.
It really hits you, so hard. So from all this information that we get from our investigation, from our back-end reports through our systems, then we're able to put all this together. And when you see us suspending a company or a SACCO, it is not that like some Kenyans say, oh, you're biased, oh, it's not about...
It's not a knee-jerk reaction.
It's not a knee-jerk reaction. And sometimes Kenyans even hit us, say, but why not taking action on this? It's because we're doing that investigation. We really want to come up with a case that when we suspend you, then we know what we are talking about. Okay. And that will not end up there. We'll still ask you to comply, and we still work with you through the journey of compliance until you comply before we put you back on the road.
Let's take a break. We continue our conversation shortly. Samuel Musumba is the Road Safety and Safety Strategies Manager at the National Transport and Safety Authority. Is there and? Is it National Transport Safety Authority?
Yeah, not and.
Not and. No. National and Transport and Safety and Authority. NTSA. He's our guest this morning. We're talking about what we're seeing in the roads. What's the cause of the current surge in road accidents? What do we attribute the majority of the road accidents in our country to? And what strategies has NTSA come up with to address them, both now and in the past? 8:30. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room the only way to start your day.
Embark on an unforgettable journey through the heart of Africa at the Festac Africa Festival 2024, destination Kisumu. Join us from May 20th to 26th for Africa's celebration of global culture, fashion, music, dance, and more. Immerse yourself in a week-long extravaganza featuring professionals from across the continent as we explore the theme of sustainable growth trajectory for Africa through culture, trade,
cloudy conditions
travel.
in Nairobi this morning, currently at 16, and we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 17. It's 20 and partly sunny in Nakuru with highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 26 and a partly sunny Nyeri at 18. It's 18 and cloudy in Eldoret, highs of 25, and looking into a sunny Mombasa at 29. We're looking at sunny conditions at 30 in Malindi. It's 24 and mostly cloudy in Kisumu with highs of 30, and at 22, Kakamega is cloudy with highs of 29 and lows of 17. Cloudy in Kampala at 23 with highs of 28 and lows of 21, while Dar es Salaam at 27 is sunny. We'll see highs of 31. Johannesburg at 12 is sunny with highs of 19. And looking into a cloudy Mogadishu at 32, we'll see highs of 34. 26 will be the high in a sunny Addis Ababa at 18. It's 27 and cloudy in Lagos with highs of 35. And at 24, Kinshasa is cloudy. We'll see highs of 32. Traffic left coming off the Thika Superhighway right around Survey and then the Pagani Underpass. Apart from that, I think we're good. Jogo Road also a bit busy here and there. As you get towards Landis, it's blocked as you get through towards the Kamkunji roundabout, to be expected. Langata Road touching a little bit on the Nyeri Stadium roundabout and then onto Huru Highway. That's where you'll see most of it right about now. Traffic doesn't seem to be something we'll contend with today. But just keeping an eye on things just to be sure, right? We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Hi, Abasi, 26 minutes to 9.
All right. So, I mean, the things that we've seen, a number of questions, I mean, you've touched on this a little bit, a number of questions have led to, have arisen because of the issue of road infrastructure, road furniture, some of the things that are missing as a result of, whatever the case may be. It's interesting as you give those numbers. We also know that in the accidents that we've seen in the last year, that the majority of those accidents have resulted in pedestrian death, right? So 445, I believe, is the number out of the total that we were given. So that means a vehicle hit somebody was crossing the road, somebody was hit on a pavement or would-be pavement, or there was no pavement for them to be walking on. We've seen a number of other vehicles that have been in accidents on roads that are unmarked, unlit, unpaved, unrefurbished. So it brings into question road furniture. How do you attribute then what needs to happen? Because it is an issue. We can talk about bad behavior. I think, we had this conversation yesterday. I think it does play a role. But road furniture is a big thing, especially if we are seeing that people who are not in vehicles are being affected, right? So how does that come into play in then the investigations or the conversations that you have around what needs to happen to reduce the number of accidents that we're seeing on the roads?
I agree with you that really our infrastructure sometimes also contributes to about almost 20% there on what we see on our roads. But also say that government has tried. Our government has really tried. The 2-3 areas of government, I mean, the presidents who have been there in terms of improving infrastructure. Today, you can comfortably drive to your village on a tarmac road, I would say. I'll give my own example. I could not get my car to the village, but these days I can.
Go all the way.
I'll go all the way. Quite a number of roads now, well done and marked. But of course, there could be others that still need a lot of work to be done on those roads. Now, where we sit as NTSA, we do not construct roads, and neither do we maintain those roads. They're done by road agencies, Kenha, Kura, and Nkera. But what do? We plug in terms of then flagging out the risk. Sorry, the road safety risks on some of these roads. And if you look at sometimes when we are flagging out these roads, it's evidence-based. Hey, pedestrians have died here.
Yeah.
We flagged out for so many days on the Outer Ring Road. You know, kept saying, hey, guys are dying here. Look, can we do something? So what normally happens is there's so much information sharing between ourselves and the road agencies, just informing them that we need an improvement in this particular area.
Is it, can I, sorry if I may interject, is it just as robust or as intense? Just a few minutes ago, you talked about the fact that when you're following up with compliance with drivers, you go so far as to remove them. You say you will not be able to use this road. You are not compliant, so you can't use the road. We revoke a license. We follow up with you. We do what, there was a word you used, I can't quite recall, but we follow up with you until we are satisfied that you're compliant, is then we now let you back on the road.
The audit, yes.
Audit, thank you.
Yes.
It's just as serious for the road agencies that you say are in charge of the road furniture or the road infrastructure, whether it be Kenha, Kura, Kera. It's just as important if there's an unlit road, or if there's an unmarked road, or if there is an unfinished road where there have been accidents regularly. We even sometimes call them black spots.
Yeah.
Are you just as insistent on these road agencies, leave alone that they're your brothers in government, to say, my friends, we even close off this road until you guys have done what you need to do to ensure that this road actually then is compliant? Should it not be the same gust and vim with which you talk to road users about how they must be compliant, that these agencies who are responsible for this road furniture must also be compliant?
Yeah.
Do you do the same thing and say, no, we'll close this road?
There is accountability in government. When agencies in government are working together, there's always that accountability to each other. And we hold each other very accountable. I will tell you that the information we share with the road agencies on a regular basis, because we also do the audits. Well, if this road has had issues, then we do those audits. We check. Then we're able to give out a report to the agencies and say, hey, are we able to act on this? What we're happy about is that when we are doing some of these audits, many a times we also invite the same engineers and say, hey, come, see what you've done. And we're happy that they're able to see this mistakes. They're able to see the need to change some of this infrastructure. And quite a number of roads, I don't have the records here, but quite a number of roads actually have been improved, following that exchange of information. You may not really see us going to the road and mandamano, and say, hey,
like you do with road users,
funga this,
like you do with road users.
That. But I would say in the back end, we have our own mandamanos, because we hold each other really very, very accountable and say, hey, look, this road is so bad. Can we do something? In fact, gladly we have an engineer, civil engineer, heading that particular department from our end. It was never easy. I remember when joining NTSA, it was not very easy to push the engineers to change something. So they would ask you,
you don't understand this thing.
You're an engineer. Just like lawyers say, you're not a learned friend, so what are you even telling me? They will even ask you, which design manuals are you talking about? Where you get your information from. But these days, these are engineers who speaks their language. The reports she gives are really very, very informed, because he's an engineer by background, and we've seen a lot of action being taken. The other thing that I really also want to encourage the public is petition. Actually, the public can petition. You can do that. The same mandamanos you're talking about, they can actually petition government and say, this road, we are not going to use it. No vehicle goes through here until this is done. And we listen to that, a lot. But of course, we don't want you to go and block the roads and put, roadblocks and all.
We may not need to. Those roads are already blocked.
See, that's why we are there.
Enterprise Road.
Let me read the core functions of NTSA. NTSA number 1 is established by law, right? The NTSA Act. And therefore, you're an authority. You're not just that is some fly-by-night, some walking guy there. No. Core functions: to maintain functions of the authority as outlined in law, to advise and make recommendations on matters relating to road safety, road transport and safety, to implement policies relating to road transport and safety, plan, manage and regulate the road transport sector in accordance with the law, ensure provision of safe, reliable and efficient road transport service. Okay?
Absolutely.
So from what I understand from here, and you can correct me, is that as an authority, you're number 1 looking at road transport sector in Kenya holistically. You advise and develop policies that govern road safety in the country. And road safety includes all those elements, from the infrastructure itself to the training of the people who are going to use the road to enforcement of the law, right?
Yeah.
We see you acting when you, for example, suspend a circle, when you are testing drivers and giving them driving licenses, when you are inspecting vehicles and giving them the stickers, roadworthiness, the NTSA stickers for PSVs and all and so forth. Do you have a policy, and do you review and revise a policy that looks holistically at road safety in the country? That says, for example, that this is the standard of a safe road for all users. And users here include vehicles, 4-wheeled vehicles, 27-wheeled vehicles, to 2-wheeled vehicles, to non-motorized transport, to pedestrians. And this is the basic standard for such a road that would be considered safe. And then this is the behavior that's expected of all the road users. Is there such a policy document that we can say that we can look at?
In fact, many policies, I would not just say one, touching on a number of those areas that you've spoken about. We have policies around vehicles, we have policies on the different road users and how they're supposed to do this. Issues of infrastructure, of course, which fall under another agency. They also have policies to that. And we leverage on that, the existing policies that are there. Then we're able to put up certain recommendations, way forwards to then how do we behave, how do we address some of these issues. So they are there, I would say.
How regularly, how often are they reviewed?
Policies in government, their continuous reviews are there. 3 years, 5 years, those reviews are always there, depending also on emerging issues. Currently, like now, I know our sister agencies are looking at, and together with ourselves as well, we've been part of the teams that are looking at design issues, road design issues, the manuals that then were there before, they're now being revised to take into consideration now the very many emerging issues. We have now so many NMTs, so many cities like Nairobi. If you look at Nairobi, the way it was designed previously, it was just like meant for motorists alone. Nobody ever thought that we'll have this kind of population of 4 million people on a given day, and they're trying to access the city either by vehicle or as pedestrians. It's not so easy. So these are some of the things that then push the government to start looking at what kind of policies did we have then and now. How do we accommodate the emerging issues? Look at the vehicles now. You can't compare the vehicles we have today and the vehicles maybe 20 years ago. A lot of things have really, changed. So again, now it behoves us to start looking at what are the standards? What kind of standards are we looking at as a country in terms of consumption of the vehicles that we have. So that again pushes us to start looking at the standards, review some of the standards, which is policy in essence, and see that then we accommodate all this for the safety of everyone. So I would say it's regular, and sometimes it's really need-based because of the emerging issues. In what do we do? Look at even the licensing that we are doing. We had to change a lot of the system just to accommodate all these new changes. If you look at now the structure of our licensing, it's not like it used to be. You start from class A, which is motorbikes, as you go, higher. So what are we looking at in that? We are looking at how do we professionalize driving. It's no longer driving. Those days was for failures. Your child failed the KCP, driving. And sometimes maybe that explains why we have sometimes even rogue drivers, because I was blacklisted in my family as the black sheep. So, but that is not to justify the wrongs that people are doing now. And that's why we look at all these policies. Are we able, can they accommodate the emerging issue? Can they accommodate improvement, moving forward?
As the foremost authority on matters safety on our roads in the country, what is your relationship with the road agencies? Are you an advisor to them? Are you a cousin to them? Or are you one that comes on matters of safety? Your say is final, and they should implement.
We offer advisory. Just by going by our mandate, it is more advisory because we don't construct those roads per se. We don't control the budget to put up a road or make any changes. We may propose, for example, hey, put a footbridge here, but that will be dependent on many other things, budget issues, their plan of action.
So we say we can compromise on safety because of budget issues and all in the design of a road?
I cannot say that. In fact, I cannot vouch for that. I would...
because that sounds like that's what will end up happening. For example, you've given us an example of Outer Ring Road. For a long time, Outer Ring Road did not have a single footbridge. Does it have any now?
Right now they are.
So a couple of footbridges now have gone up. But during the initial construction of this road, no footbridges. Right now on Mombasa Road, the areas that have the expressway, how many footbridges do we have? Imara Daima, General Motors, Mlolongo, South B, South C. Right? And long stretches without footbridges. What's the conversation there? Do you come up and say, because of road safety, if you don't have a footbridge, then give us an alternative that will ensure that pedestrians can use this road and cross from one end of the road to another?
Absolutely.
And is that compelling or is it just advisory? And the road agency can just look and say, nyinyi mnajua Ngong Road pesa ile tulipoa ya kujenga Ngong Road. Unamwambia tuweke footbridge sasa. Because Ngong Road has no footbridges.
Actually Ngong Road doesn't have.
It doesn't have footbridges.
But then the way Ngong Road was done, there's a lot of allowance for pedestrians, movement, even cycling, by the way. I think it's the only road that you can cycle.
On a part of Ngong Road.
On part of Ngong Road, yeah. I know it's not to the end of Karen and all that, but part of it, good demonstration. Lights are working. People can cross from point A to B, which is a good thing. But just to go back to your question, I think when it comes to safety, there shouldn't be any compromise. We shouldn't be giving excuses, particularly where if this was the solution, then we can save a life. We should not be compromising, at all. But of course, every plan has its own issues sometimes, particularly in terms of resources, in terms of the timelines and all that. It may take a bit of time. But what do we do on our end as an advisor? We always keep reminding our colleagues the other side, hey, this road, are we able to do something? Are we able to provide even the simplest of solutions to this? But that again also does not exonerate us from speaking to the road users. It doesn't mean that if completely there's no footbridge here, then I can do what I want. I can risk my life. They are all other options that road users can use. And we keep now talking, that's why now we come in a lot of education and awareness and say, hey, look, this road, just beware, it's risky. And that's where we even are able to highlight the black spots. We don't call them black spots these days because some of us are black. So, hey, you talk about a black spot. Are you putting me in that in that space? Am I risky as well? So the danger spots. There's high risk roads. And we say, hey, look, please, you're on Mombasa Road. Try to avoid point A. If you're able to move to point B, the better. If you're on Outer Ring Road, like we never used to have the footbridges, we kept talking to people, please, if you're on Outer Ring Road, it's high risk. So just watch out on this, watch out on that. But that should not be really an excuse. We have to do what it takes to make sure that everybody there is safe. We even have had to do enforcement by all of the pedestrians. Personally, I was there at GM sometime last week and the other week. It's crazy. Just to tell this Kenyan, hey, look up here. This is a footbridge.
That's called a footbridge.
That's called a footbridge. Can you imagine? The one you've been looking for. Okay. They have been complaining about it. Now it is there, so nicely done, but they still want to go down there. And the guy says, but it takes me so long to go through here, and I'm just going here. And you keep wondering, really?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because just a while ago, NTSA presence from the roads was removed, recalled, said everybody get off the roads because it was causing, or one of the reasons, it was causing, shall we say, trepidation in the hearts and minds of road users because they see the green and white vehicle and, things go helter-skelter. So stay in the office, do what you need to do administratively, do your advice and your... But now, we are seeing that from the Office of the CS, recalling NTSA back to the roads in order to establish or to uphold some kind of safety. What do you think is going to be different now with that call to have NTSA presence back on the roads around the country?
I expected 3 claps from Wananchi. When really? The CS said that, because we said, finally I think you now see that you need us, these roads. Because remember when we were moved from the road and people went on social media saying, yeah, kudos man, we can drink, we can do all this man of things. Now, really they're realizing, I think we need these guys here. As much as we had those running battles. But look, these guys look like they were doing something. What we'll do differently? I don't know what we did that time that we need to do differently. But
I'll tell you what you were doing.
Yeah.
You are performing the functions of the police.
Really? As a regulator. But the enforcement bit is not really supposed to be our forte.
Exactly.
As a regulator, by the way, you also once in a while need to come out and see the regulations you are giving
once in a while. You are not once in a while.
we have to check. Because if you don't do that, chances sometimes are some things may sneak through. Non-compliance issues. And this is what we are seeing. When we did when we came back fully and did our spot checks and all that, we realized, hey, many guys have gone back to, in fact, beyond where they were before, when things were so bad. People just speeding carelessly, drinking carelessly, vehicles overloading and this kind of bad behavior. It's just gone back to that. Then we said, so we need to be coming out regularly to ensure that you guys really, comply. And you guys now adhere to the regulations. So it's no harm. Regulators come out. KRA comes out, isn't it? To check on our taxes. What we are doing.
KRA is a collector. It's not their job. They're out here to collect.
It's a regulator at the end of the day.
You are mainly to develop the policy and to ensure implementation of it. Enforcement is somebody else's, but that's another argument altogether. At the beginning of this,
I like the word you picked, ensuring. How do I ensure that
without enforcing
that you are here in studio? I have to come and check
by checking that the enforcer is doing his job. Risky behavior is something that you've said is really, really big and a big concern for NTSA currently. And a number of times when you are talking about the various issues, speeding, people tampering with the speed limiters, people just behaving like rogue drivers on the road, you said there must be something that's going on here that we need to establish. Have you begun any sort of study to understand why motorists behave the way they behave?
We have been doing a lot of evaluations, and that includes even impact evaluation on some of our strategies that we have undertaken. And that has really informed even the next strategies that we have. I mentioned here that we are seeing an increase in seasoned drivers being involved in accidents. So it begs the question, really what is happening here? Is it a question of, I don't know how to drive? I think that is not the case. What then is happening? Out of issues now, if you look at what we have investigated, some of the incidences, you realize there were other underlying issues. Case by case, you realize, hey, no, it happened to Pwan University, now it's KU, and the other driver. These guys are very mature people. You start wondering, there must be a problem here. So then the packaging of our next programs are going to be really informed by what we are getting from the evaluations that from these instances. Like now, our biggest concern is how do we start addressing some of these underlying issues? Some could be medical conditions that completely this driver is actually maybe not seeing or has pressure or a number of complications. Then how do we address that? I'll tell you, we did recently a medical camp for drivers in Nairobi. These were school drivers and all that. And what came out from those reports? Some harrowing, evidences where a driver cannot even read that word spice, where I'm seated. Can you imagine? And that's the guy on the road. And then you ask this driver, are you having a problem? Nikisema nitafutwa kazi. It's like my contract.
It's dependent
on
my living.
So then now that takes us back to start talking to the employers. Please let that not be the contract. Then the moment I say I can't read that, then
you have no job.
I have no job. I think that should not be the case. We should not rush to really condemnation, but are we able to come up with the programs to assist? These are sick cases, isn't it?
Okay.
I mean, who says that?
So what does that then call for? Does it call for regular retesting? When you're renewing your driving license, then you, after a period of time, maybe after every 3 years, every driver was to get a renewal of your DL, you go through some of these medical tests.
Absolutely.
Number one. And number two, and this I think I'm just going to offer you as advice, as you're looking at all these matters, there's a report that was prepared by a task force appointed by the President and the Minister for Health in 2020, looking at the mental health status of our country. And the experts in that report, in that task force, told the government that mental health is a medical emergency, is a national emergency. Maybe this, what you're seeing, and you've attributed a lot of it to stress, is a manifestation of that. As a policy, people come up with a policy that looks at mental health and what it's doing to people. If somebody is driving and they're drinking, if somebody is speeding and they know that they're speeding, there's something else.
Oh, by the way, very, very good observation. Very good observation. And I think that is what is really attracting us to then how do we tailor-make programs that will start coming up with these things, making drivers even open up, in all that. Because if we can't explain certain things, then it becomes even more riskier. And if you look at even the alcohol, the drink driving, some of it is what you've just alluded to. It has a bit of stress issues. In fact, alcohol abuse, not even just use, starehe and shorehe, the way people are calling it. Because how would you explain, you arrest this driver on Langata Road this Friday. Next Friday, same road, same time, 3 a.m., same vehicle sometimes, in fact, many times, same vehicle, same circumstances. it just starts telling you something, that this guy is not like this bad guy who is just out to, defeat the law and all that. But there could be other underlying issues. So that is an opportunity for us. And even as we look at the next programs, we should be able to start now packaging very tailor-made programs to address some of these challenges among our people.
Asante.
Yeah.
Samuel Musumba, Road Safety and Safety Strategies Manager at NTSA, has been our guest. It's 9 a.m. news time.
And Muinis and known as associates joined Al-Shabaab after allegedly being radicalized by the duo. The case will be heard on May 7th, 2024. And the National Assembly has acceded to the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Critical Information Infrastructure and Cybercrime Management Regulations 2024. The Ministry of Interior and National Administration announced the development, saying the House gazetted the changes on February 9th. It said the regulations conform to constitutional provisions, the Statutory Instruments Act of 2023 and Section 70 of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act 2018. The regulations are part of ongoing efforts to enhance cybersecurity in critical sectors such as banking, telecom and energy. Kerugoya High Court Judge Richard Mwongo has stated that the bail application of the owner of a bar where 17 people died and several others were left blind in Kangai and Kandongo villages in Kirinyaga County will be concluded after witnesses identified by the prosecution team are within 60 to 90 days. In his order, Justice Mwongo stated that John Murithi's bail application will be heard and ended following the testimony of 7 witnesses designated by the prosecution team led by Deputy DPP Vincent Mamba as critical and readily manipulated due to their blindness. John Murithi, through his lawyer Kemunto Magara, had applied to be released on bond, where he is charged with 2 counts causing the deaths of 17 people in Kangai village and stealing exhibits locked at the Kiamashiri police station. Internationally, and O.J. Simpson, the American football star and actor who was acquitted in a sensational 1995 trial of murdering his former wife, but was found responsible for her death in a civil lawsuit and was later imprisoned for armed robbery and kidnapping, has died at the age of 76. Simpson, cleared by a Los Angeles jury in what the U.S. media called the trial of the century, died after battle with cancer. Simpson parlayed his football stardom into a career as a sportscaster, advertising pitchman and Hollywood actor in films including the Naked Gun series. And Russia missiles and drones destroyed a large capacity plant near Kyiv and heat power facilities in several regions of Ukraine, ramping up pressure on the embattled energy system in Kyiv as it runs low on air defense. The major attack, more than 2 years since Russia's full-scale invasion, completely destroyed the Teplitska coal-powered thermal power plant near the capital. Footage shared on social media showed a fire raging at a large Soviet-era facility and black smoke belching from it. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice
We've been doing
FM.
all right this Friday, haven't we? Yeah. In terms of traffic on this road today, even Landy's Road has reduced significantly getting towards Kamkunji at the roundabout. On Gong Road today, also not looking too bad. And surveyed just towards Muranga Road, actually going in the direction of Wangari Maathai is where you have the little bit of traffic left. Apart from that, spank in, done well. Let's just keep an eye on things as we come out of traffic hour around about half an hour from now. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, newshound, a man who believes in punching up, not down.
Please open the website.
This is
plan.icealion.co.ke. 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 Plan.icealion. Zoom, 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 zoom. It's like I saw someone saying, the urge to sing The Lion Sleeps Tonight is always just a whim away. A whim away, a whim away, a whim away, a whim away, a whim away. The urge to sing there. Okay, so that's the website, huh? Plan.icealion.co.ke. What do we see?
What's your plan? Planning for personal growth and the joy of a successful.
Please tell Queen Charlotte to focus on that screen. Queen Charlotte. Focus on the screen.
Planning for personal growth and the joy of a successful and secure life is an opportunity for everyone. ICA Lion is here to help you do just that. So you can plan for your future with insurance, pensions, trust and investments that are right for you in a manner that reflects the world you want to live in. A fresh and wonderful world that is bold, brave, smart, colorful and brimming with confidence and diversity. What's the common denominator here? You.
And when you scroll down, do you need a plan? We can help you come up with a plan and all those things. Yeah? What's your plan?
Let's help you make
make a plan.
Many plans there.
Yeah.
Plans to ensure your assets and your life, plans for retirement, plans to preserve your legacy, plans to grow your money. I mean, across board, really. What's your plan? ICA Lion says, let's help you make and keep your plan.
With a plan that suits your needs, you can rest easy, think long-term, grow your money, all at the same time. So when you go to this website, then you also see on the side there, it says, we are online. How may we help you today? When you click on that chatbot, you start chatting, you'll have a conversation with them. And then you'll see a drop-down menu. It tells you a lot of things, how you can get in touch with them, how you can contact ICA Lion, how you can do all those things. So go to plan.icealion.co.ke and interact with all that information. Talk to ICA Lion. They will sort you out, my friend. Hey, you will know you don't know. Our next conversation is our Health Friday conversation this Friday. We have invited Dr. Manuel Haj. She is a consultant medical oncologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. Dr. Hari, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you so much.
That's the hot seat of the Situation Room. How does it feel?
I like it. I like the pink microphones.
Very good. Very good. You're here to talk to us about testicular cancer because it's about the awareness on testicular cancer this month. Many people don't know what that means. I included, I'm not sure exactly where does testicular begin, where does it end, and where does the other one? Which one was that?
Prostate.
That one. Where does it begin, where does it end, and which other one?
Which one do you want?
I don't know. I don't know. To welcome you to this conversation, Doc,
Thank you.
On behalf of our colleague CT, I'll have the day's proverb. So every week we bring proverbs from one African country and a proverb a day from that country. This week our focus has been on the Kingdom of Morocco. You know that country?
I know it very well.
Have you been there?
I have been there.
Have you grown up there?
No, I've grown up in a neighborhood country in Tunisia.
So have you visited Morocco?
Yes. Yeah.
Give us 3 cities that you've been to.
I've just been to one, Marrakesh.
Marrakesh. Sounds very good, eh?
Yes, it does.
It sounds, it's a mix, like you said, a mix of modern and traditional, cultural city. What was your experience in Marrakesh?
It was like a dream, everything was like a fairy tale. Everything is presented as a fairy tale.
It's like you're going to meet Aladdin when you step out into the street. Sorry.
Yeah, actually we almost met it in Marrakesh in one of the shows. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Good one. Our proverb for today says, and I want you to listen and you can give us your own interpretation of that proverb. If you are responsible for a problem, you should find the solution. if you are responsible for a problem, you should find a solution.
That's quite a good proverb. So that means that every problem, number one, has a solution. If you're the creator of that problem, then you should be able to solve it. So that's really some food for thought. And then it stimulates probably people not to be waiting to be given the solutions, and then to create your own path and have your own demeanor to solve any issues. So that's basically a booster for someone's personality and someone's self-confidence.
That's a good one. That's a good interpretation. It's a pity CT didn't pick the Proverbs from Tunisia, but I think next week they'll be from Tunisia. You can come back next week.
Sure.
And you'll help.
I'll come with my proverb.
You'll come with a Tunisian proverb. What is testicular cancer, Doc?
All right. So first of all, thanks for bringing this subject to the light. You know, cancer is usually a taboo. People don't easily talk about cancer, and you can imagine for testicular cancer in particular. And then the timing is really perfect. This month is the month of awareness for testicular cancer. So testicular cancer is not really a common cancer. It just represents 1% of all cancers, but then it's one of the commonest cancers for male. So especially at the age between 15 to 35 years old, so those are young patients, young male, who can have a testicular cancer, and then they might not be realizing it. So usually it starts with a swelling, an abnormal swelling on the testicle, and then it's usually painless. So that's why the person might not feel comfortable reaching out to a doctor or even to family members or friends and talk about that swelling that they have noticed on the testicle. You know, it's in the private area, so people don't really feel the need or don't feel comfortable to talk to someone about that swelling. And then the fact that it's painless, majority of the cases, make them feel comfortable, take their time thinking about what's going on in their body before they reach out to someone.
When you say a swelling, how does this swelling look like? Is it the swelling of both testicles? Is it the swelling of the testicular sac? Is it a pimple that grows? What is it?
So a swelling could be a nodule, like just a hard nodule or a firm nodule on palpation. Could be a nodule mixed with some inflammation of the sac. Could be just inflammation of the sac, and then you're wondering what's happening, and then the nodule is a bit deep there. So it could be a bump, a lump, an inflammation. Few cases also it can be painful. It doesn't mean that it will always be painless swelling. So in few cases it's a bit also like just a bit of pain. Sometimes the patient will say, I just felt a bit of heaviness down there. So just feeling heavy, not being able to palpate the nodule. Sometimes the partner is the one who feels that there is an abnormal lump and reports it. Yeah.
Does it continue growing? Or?
Yes, it's usually a tumor that is progressively growing. Like I said, majority of the cases pain-free. So it's a dynamic process that starts one day and then continues growing. Yeah.
So by the time this particular tumor has gotten to the point whereby if you palpate, you can feel it, does that mean then that there would be the presence of cancer if it were not benign? Okay, let me rephrase that question. Can some of these nodules that you then find be benign?
Yes, not any swelling means a cancer, of course. So so when you have a swelling, I would encourage the person to go and seek medical attention. There will be some very straightforward and easy investigations that will be done to be able to determine from a benign lesion from a malignant lesion, and we can just start with some blood tests, some scrotal ultrasound or testicular ultrasound, and then based on the findings on that ultrasound, we'll be able to assess the malignant potential of that lump. Yeah.
You talked about 15 to 32. That's a very young age.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why do we look at this? I mean, I was actually shocked when you talked about that. And I said, wow. For other cancers, we'll see that they we see them at a later stage in life, men and women. Why so young?
So that's the maybe I would say the common thinking about cancer. It will happen only for elderly patients. If it was the case, we wouldn't see kids in our clinics. We wouldn't see young adults in our clinics. So testicular cancer, particularly, every cancer has a specific pattern and has a specific population. Testicular cancer is for the young adults. So that's why on an average it's between 15 and 35. And unlike the common population where they feel surprised that the age is a bit young, as physicians, as doctors, we will be surprised if an older adult comes with a testicular cancer. So that's the average, but then it can happen a bit earlier, and then it can happen a bit later as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What causes it at this age?
That's a good question. So testicular cancer has some risk factors, and here I want to emphasize about one particular risk factor for the parents to be aware of it, the undescended testicles. If your child has undescended testicles, please do not hesitate to do regular follow-ups, especially when they become a bit, when they reach, puberty, and the testicles remain undescended. So those ones need particular attention because that's one of the most known risk factors for testicular cancer. If God created testicles as an external organ, it was really for a reason. It's for allowing the male to have fertility, number one. Number two, because the gonads cannot survive a temperature of 37, the normal body temperature. So they have to be external and then to be on a kind of room air temperature. Yeah, so undescended testicle is one of those most important risk factors for testicular cancer. But then also having a family history of testicular cancer in particular, and then any other type of cancer. The patient who had previously history of testicular cancer can still be considered as a risk factor for having another testicular cancer. Yeah.
Can we go into that just a little bit? Undescended testicles, what would be the reason? Is there a reason for that? Why wouldn't they descend at the time when they were meant to?
Yeah, during the pregnancy and during the fetal growth, few steps are made from day one of pregnancy up to the end of the pregnancy. So there is a sequencing of events that should happen so that at the end we have a healthy baby and we have the normal anatomy that every human has. So sometimes during those processes few things happen, like for example, just another example to mention why sometimes the testicles are undescended. So for example, a malrotation of the stomach. Sometimes our patients are born with the stomach on the right side instead of being on the left side. So during this fetal formation, sometimes few steps do not complete 100% what is supposed to happen.
Okay.
What is this? What is an undescended testicle?
It's a testicle that is not in the scrotal sac. It's a testicle that remains within the pelvis or sometimes in the abdominal cavity. So when the baby is born, one of the most important pediatrician's exam is to check if the testicles are in place. So, and actually you will see it in that small booklet that will be given to the parents. It's really an important thing to check on day one of life. So the pediatrician or even the mom will be usually able to pick it up. When they palpate the scrotal sac, they will find it empty.
And you would know?
You would
if
know.
You were to
so the sac is there, but it's empty?
Yes, it's empty. Like, allow me to use some layman words. The balls are not inside the sacs. Yeah, so it's empty.
And this is visible. This is something that you look at and it's visible.
It's visible and then it's palpable. You can feel it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if this is something that you can just pick out at the moment that the baby is born and you've identified it's a boy, because you've looked at their genital parts. So you can see that there is, you can see that there's a sac, but then the balls are not in the sac like you said. So you can pick it out immediately.
Exactly.
So,
and
can this be corrected immediately?
So the pediatrician surgeon will talk, or the pediatrician will talk to the parents. They will, of course, connect them to a surgeon, and then these can be planned. So this is an issue that can be easily fixed, and it's a planned surgery. So in agreement with the parents and the surgeon, these will be fixed. But the problem is, sometimes people give birth not in a health system. And, probably sometimes not everyone would access, the regular follow-up with a pediatrician, or they are not regular on their vaccines, because all of those are multiple occasions to pick up what was missed on the day of birth. So like even, let's say, for example, it wasn't picked up because the mom has given birth at home with the help with the midwife, or it can always be picked up on those regular checkups. And every time a kid go to the hospital for a fever or for any other reason, this is a major part of examination. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, we might do some physiology here just to understand exactly what's going on. So, with now testicular cancer, we are saying that there is cancer of the testicle, right? And we're also saying that a high-risk demographic is young men who have undescended testicles, high risk. Okay? So in the presence of cancer now, if the testicle is undescended, where is this cancer manifesting?
So in an ideal scenario, if someone has an undescended testicle, this would have been fixed before reaching the age of adulthood.
Through surgery or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But then this is actually why it's good to increase the awareness. So like I would encourage the people who are listening to us today, and if they know that they have undescended testicles and they've never sought any medical attention, maybe it's a good time to go and be checked. Yeah. Because it would be more difficult actually to pick up testicle cancer on an undescended testicle. And we see it in our clinics, basically. Sometimes those patients, this particular subgroup of patients, they come with advanced disease. And that's what we actually want to avoid. We want to have people consulting us and seeking our help at very early stages, when it's, testicle cancer is one of the most curable cancers. That's something I also want to emphasize, that it's 95% people are cured from this testicular cancer, but then also it's always better if you pick it at a very early stage where surgery will only be the treatment that you will need, so that you don't really need to go through chemo or radiation. I think that's one of the most important messages we should send to the young people who are listening to us. If you have an undescended testicle, please get yourself checked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does the surgery entail? Cutting out the cancer or removing a part?
So surgery for testicular cancer will entail the removal of that testicle. Okay. So we start first of all with an ultrasound, and then we check both testicles, because having one testicle that could have a tumor, you need to check the opposite as well, because in few cases we can see bilateral testicular cancer. So we have to check the opposite testicle as well. Now, immediately you see a suspicious tumor, and here it's a message to all surgeons and in the cities, in up countries, wherever they practice. If there is a tumor in the testicle, go in for a surgery for a testicular cancer, unless proven otherwise. Because the surgery also will have a role on the outcomes of the patient. So it has to be a removal of the whole testicle, what you call orchidectomy, and it has its particular rules to be followed. So please, if there is any tumor in the testicle, go in for a testicular cancer. Just do an inguinal orchidectomy and not cut through the scrotal sac, to avoid having any spread, to do an oncological and a curative surgery, and to spare your patient any further complications in the near future. So going for a cancer, unless proven otherwise. How are we proving it otherwise? Once we remove the testicle, it will be analyzed in the lab, and then under the microscope, the pathologist, the doctor behind the microscopes, will be able to tell you this is a cancer or this is not. This was just a benign. And then you would have saved your patient, you would have avoided any further complications.
But you've removed the testicle. Can you return it?
You cannot return it, but you have another testicle. So, that's at least, the privilege of having two testicles. Any organ that does exist in, like, for example, the kidneys, doubles, you can just spare one. So, patients will be able to continue having a normal life with just one testicle.
So the symptoms for this, you said abnormal swelling.
Yes.
Most times painless.
Yes.
And this will be in the form of a bump or a lump or a nodule. How does it progress? So the first time that somebody feels and they feel, well, there's a bump here, and so what should they do immediately? Or then if they don't do that, what's likely to happen next?
That's good. So in few cases in 2024, we are still seeing patients coming with advanced stages. So that lump is ignored for years, and then the patient will come with weight loss, lack of appetite, cough, a persistent cough, a back pain. That's already an alarm or a bell that was rung, because that means that that tumor that was ignored for some years, months, has already spread. So we don't want to see any more patients coming with a persistent cough, with chest pain, sometimes even with convulsions when it spreads to the brain. So the natural history of that lump in the testicle, it will continue growing, and then maybe might have some other lumps at the inguinal area on the groin here, and then weight loss, cough, headaches, back pain. Those are symptoms for advanced disease, because if we don't treat the local disease, it will continue progressing loco-regionally, so that some few lymph nodes will appear, and then systemically it can spread to the bones, to the lungs, to the brain. Yeah, and those are the symptoms that we don't want to see anymore in the clinics. Yeah.
With regularity, what are you seeing in terms of numbers? You said, okay, 1% of all cancers, so it may be one of the rarer ones, but it is the most common amongst men. But what kind of numbers are we seeing? I mean, we see with cervical cancer, 9 women are dying from cervical cancer every day. What numbers are we seeing with Kenya for testicular cancer?
Yeah, it's not among the top 10 cancers in Kenya. So like you've mentioned, cervical cancer is top 2, breast cancer is top 1, we have colon cancer. So testicular is not among those top 10 cancers. In terms of numbers in Kenya, I wouldn't be able to give you the correct figure, because we don't really have an accurate cancer registry. But it's not like on a daily basis in our workplace, it's not the number 1 cancer that we see. Yeah. But if we receive a patient, a young gentleman, we usually, and then even if, like, for example, it starts with some lung mass, sometimes it's picked up the other way around. Instead of picking up the testicular cancer, the patient comes with chest pain or cough. You do an x-ray, you do a scan, you find some lesions. So when you receive a patient around that group of age, it will be among the first diagnoses that someone should think of, and then we should go back and examine the testicles. Yeah.
Let's take a break. 29 minutes after 9. Our Health Friday conversation this morning is creating awareness on testicular cancer. How much do you know about it? That's why we're here. Dr. Manel Haj is a consultant medical oncologist from the Aga Khan University Hospital. She's here to help us understand more about it. If you've got any question, post the questions on social media. SpiceFM KE on X, SpiceFM on Facebook, SpiceFM on our live stream on YouTube, SpiceFM KE on Instagram. All of them. If you've got any question, we'll pose it to the doc here. Plan at icealion.co.ke. Remember, the other one I said plan dot. That's a website. Plan at is an email. Plan at icealion.co.ke. You've got a plan and you're wondering, okay, so you guys, you've been talking about plan. I've been hearing you on SpiceFM talking about plan, and I want you to tell me more about it. Email them plan at icealion.co.ke, or you can then visit their website plan.icealion.co.ke. What's your plan? Let icealion help you with it.
Some very nice, mature music.
It really took me back to my days, and I can just feel and enjoy the vibes.
Spice.
I'm a big listener of SpiceFM.
You play the best music.
This is 94.4 Spice FM.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
CT Lodge.
Muga,
not Muga.
He's here, and here's the day's proverb.
One man marries a woman. Another man marries trouble. Is he the same man?
Spice.
A lion cannot eat more than 2 donkeys. It would die a natural death because there is no ICU in the forest. In Kenya, it has become the situation that you cannot conduct 2 elections. In fact,
with the same
Bukati,
IEBC.
You can't.
I tell you about this Indian friend of mine who was enjoying other Indians in the group. He wrote the word valve and told them, read it.
So how did he say it? I really want to know.
The valve. Kina Edna, it's you said the bees are the peas. Kila kitu mkisia akisema atasema opposite.
Opposite?
Ukisema yeye anasema opposite. Opposite.
The weather.
Nairobi 20 degrees, we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 17. It's sunny at 22 in Nakuru with highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 26 in a partly sunny Nyeri at 21. All right, looking into Eldoret at 20, it's mostly cloudy with highs of 25, and into Mombasa, sunny at 30 with highs of 33, and Malindi will see highs of 33 where it's mostly sunny at 31. Kisumu is cloudy at 25 with highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 29 in a mostly cloudy Kakamega at 24. Mombasa, beg your pardon, Kampala at 24 is cloudy with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam is mostly sunny at 28. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 26. Into Johannesburg, 11 and partly sunny with highs of 19, and we'll see highs of 34 in a sunny Mogadishu. It's 21 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 26. Lagos is cloudy at 29 with highs of 35, and it's cloudy at 25 in Kinshasa with highs of 32. 28 will be the high in a hazy Beijing Friday afternoon. Looking into Paris, it's sunny at 11, and London is cloudy at 11 as well. Light rain in New York still Thursday night. Coming into Friday, we'll see highs of 18 and lows of 9. Coming in on the Thika Superhighway, not too crazy as you get into town. Just at the GSU headquarters, there's a bit of hold up there as you come in from Garden City at the mall. And then right about the Pangani underpass. Apart from that, traffic, we've not done too badly today. We'll keep an eye on things through the day. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Unright. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The next 27 minutes with Dr. Manel Haj from the Aga Khan University. Testicular cancer. This is the month for testicular cancer awareness. As Doc is saying, well, it's not one of even the top 10 in terms of the killer diseases, even in the country. So not many numbers, not many people know about it. But then there are people who may be in the ages of 15 to 35 who are at high risk of having testicular cancer. And how do you know that you've got it? Abnormal swelling. It's painless. Maybe a bump, maybe a lump, maybe some noodle somewhere. And this is how you see it. Number one, Doc, what's the screening like for testicular cancer? And number two, we hear about breast cancers with the other, external appendage. We know that we are told, both men and women, keep feeling your breast. And if you feel something abnormal, then that's something to continue checking further. What is it that we say about the balls?
All right. So, to put in place a screening strategy by the health system, it has to really have an impact on, the resources, on the patient's overall survival, and on it should be a health problem. So testicular cancer is not among the top 10 cancers, as I said. It's not really a health problem. You need to remember, and then I will keep emphasizing about that point, it's a curable cancer in 95% of the cases, regardless of the stage. So sometimes even if the patient comes at a late stage, he can still be cured, although he will go through more chemotherapies than someone who came at stage 1, for example, who would be spared any chemotherapy. But still, we can still cure these category of cancers. So in terms of screening for testicular cancer, there isn't a particular strategy because overall the outcomes are good. So there isn't really a strategy that you need to put in place for something that is not affecting in a negative way the population and the health system. But as you've just summarized again the symptoms, maybe I would say we shouldn't be seeing any more undescended testicles that were not fixed. So please screen those young babies, screen those young kids, even if it wasn't picked up at an early age or when they were newborns. At least we can always screen them and check, and then pick it at a stage where it will not be transformed to a testicular cancer. Also, there is another figure that we see quite often in our clinics. The lump or the pump will be there, but then the young man will be playing soccer, and then some trauma happens, and then the swelling appears. So people will blame that trauma. Like, you know, I received my colleague's shoe on my testicles. I received the ball on my testicles. So it's not really the factor that has caused that, but it might have triggered, and it might have shown up that node that was sitting silently there. So sometimes we see it coming immediately after a trauma. So also after a trauma, don't consider that that's just a testicular torsion, or, you know, we have always to check, do an ultrasound, make sure that there is no abnormal swelling in there.
So, because now the screening aspect that we speak of, maybe not like that, maybe that we see with others, but then the regular checking, is that something then that you say if you do that regularly, then you would be able to see, it wouldn't just, or would it creep up on you one day that, okay, well, after the shower and then I found something, but wouldn't it be progressive? So if you felt regularly, you would know that something was abnormal? Or is it tricky?
It's a bit tricky, you know, because that we don't want also paranoia to be installed on people. So, for example, I'm hearing you, so I know that you're extrapolating a bit, for example, from the breast cancer, where we all know that 1 lady out of 8 will end up having a breast cancer. So that's why we emphasize on self-examination, we emphasize to go to a health care provider and do the breast exam. We emphasize on a mammogram every year, starting from the age of 40. For testicular cancer, number one, it's not that frequent, it's not that common, but I wouldn't say like do regular checkups. Someone will not be, you know, like it doesn't happen that commonly, but if there are any risk factors like, you know, family history of testicular cancer in particular, and then undescended, for example, testicle that was fixed a bit later on, this particular high risk group, maybe we would emphasize having a checkup, But maybe the main message in here, and then, you know, testicles are external organs, so even a 1 centimeter nodule will be felt, will be palpated. Do not ignore that nodule, as small as it might be.
Okay. Is there a spread factor with testicular cancer? Like sometimes with lung cancer, you see that it'll go into lymph nodes, breast cancer the same, or is this particular cancer just focused on the testicle itself? And could that lead to why you said that the surgery, if you remove the testicle, you're done?
Yeah, so for testicular cancer, it has its own pattern of spread. So usually starts in the testicle and then grows locally, and then the next step, it might grow into the lymph nodes, and then it can also spread through the blood. Now, once we reach the level where it spreads through the blood, it can go anywhere. It can go to the lungs, it can go to the liver, it can go to the brain. We've seen quite a number of testicular cancers who come with brain metastasis. And by the way, I just want to use success story of one of the most known celebrities, Lance Armstrong, who is a cyclist. He's not only known for his achievements only, he's also someone who got a testicular cancer with brain, lung, and bone metastasis in 1996. And he just did 1 year of treatment, and in 1997 he was declared free of cancer. And from there, he started sharing his experience, and then he joined so many groups to increase the awareness about the cancer. So that's how usually testicular cancer spreads. And like I said, if there is one key message I want people to remember from now, is that pick it up at an early stage. You might just end up having a surgery, no chemo, no radiation. So if it's picked up at a very early stage, and then things will be much easier for the patient.
So it's for the parents. For us to be able to pick it up at a very early stage, we start with the parents. At this particular point, when you're taking your child for, you know, regular checkups, vaccines, you make sure that you and the health workers are actually checking on, number one, whether you have undescended testicles. That is something to identify.
Exactly.
And to treat it at that particular, to deal with that at that stage.
So the role of the parents is to work on the risk factor, so to prevent cancer. It's prevention. So the role of the parents is to prevent their child from being exposed to the risk of having a testicular cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see a second role. Not many parents, well, the way we are brought up, I don't know whether it's the same in the West, but Africans, I mean, that whole area of the private part is a part where you are taught to avoid playing with, touching, And so that then is showing, So you grow up just knowing, okay, so if you're a boy, you only use this thing to go on pee and you take it back and you do not keep, touching it. And now here you are, you're saying, how shall I notice? How shall I notice that there's a lump on my testicles? I've got to spend some time there.
Yeah, and then, even if this was missed at an early ages, or even if it's the testicles are not undescended, remember the age group of this particular cancer, it's 15 to 35. So those are people who are sexually active. So sometimes the patient will be, the person will be probably more comfortable talking to the partner, for example. Or sometimes we see cases where the partner is the one who picks up that noodle in the testicles. So I think around that age, people just have to be more easygoing and then more comfortable going and seek medical attention. They are already adults, so they can make that decision on their own.
Right. And so if you're sexually active, actually also involving your partner in some of these things is important, right?
Yes, yeah.
So as a partner, you already feel comfortable being naked in front of this person.
Exact.
And you already feel comfortable, getting into each other's privates. So it's also a responsibility that you have on your partner, isn't it?
Yes, correct. That's perfectly correct, yeah.
From what you've seen, what are the chances? I mean, and of course, because you talked about then treatment, which in this case is surgical, and then there's no need for any kind of follow-up treatment like chemotherapy and radiation. Is it possible that with the removal of the testicle with that cancer, that it could reoccur?
Yes, so that's really a good question. So, the earlier the patient presents, the less chances of having a recurrence he will have. So, and then, when someone comes with a lump, so what do we do as a healthcare provider? First of all, we start with an ultrasound and see, how, on a scale of suspicion, how suspicious is this lump? And then there is a simple blood test that we can do. And then also I want people to know that testicular cancer has a tumor marker. Not all the cancers have a marker. So a very simple blood test. You just draw a blood test, you ask for alpha-fetoprotein, beta-HCG, and LDH. Those are the markers for testicular cancer. Now, if those markers are high, why would a man have a high HCG? HCG is the pregnancy hormone, isn't it? Yeah. So if those markers are high, and then you are suspecting that your patient is having a testicular cancer, and then you go in for a surgery, suspecting that diagnosis, and actually you just need confirmation at the end. But you go in for a surgery for a testicular cancer. Now, if the markers are high, something else we will need to do is to do a full body workup. So we do a staging workup. We do a CT scan, chest, abdomen, and pelvis. It's not really obligatory, and I know PET scans are available in the country, and now there are many. So there are more than one. At some point we had only one PET scan, but now we have more than one. Just a normal CT scan, chest, abdomen, and pelvis. In a good radiology department, we will be able to give it a stage. So we do the diagnosis, we confirm it, we assess the tumor markers, that's also part of the risk stratification, and then we do finalize everything, our investigations with the staging. Now that we have the full picture, we will be able to guide the patient on the outcomes. So early stages, stage 1 with no elevated tumor markers, those ones will just require surgery. If we pick up some lymph nodes, based on the size of those lymph nodes, some patients will require one session of chemotherapy. Now, if it has spread beyond, or the tumor markers are at a high level, and usually the tumor markers are high together with the spread elsewhere, those people will need surgery, followed by 3 to 4 sessions of chemotherapy. So, and then based on the response following the treatment, you will be able to tell the patients, yes, you're in remission, and then the chances of having a recurrence is usually less than 5%. For the stage 1, it's basically, they are almost cured after surgery, so it's 99%. We don't really like the figure where you use 100%, but they are cured. To be very honest, they are cured. And we keep following them up later on, and chances of having a recurrence is less than 1%. Yeah.
Okay. So would this, you said previously that they go back to being, or that they go into having a normal life. So that means things like fertility, reproduction, then going on to have children in the future. Does it affect that in any way?
That's a very, very good point you're bringing up to discussion. So I also want everyone to know that, especially for advanced stages, so if we are removing one testicle, the patient will be left with one testicle. So in terms of fertility, it might be a bit compromised, but not that much. But for the patients that will really receive chemotherapy, their fertility might be compromised from 12 to 20% in the future, because the chemo will really affect their fertility. So I want people to know that in Kenya, we do what we call cryopreservation, so that by the time we make the diagnosis and surgery is done, we can assess the quality of the sperm, and then we offer to our young patients the possibility of cryopreserving their sperm. So they can give the sperm, and then we just do a freezing, like just on a layman words. We cryopreserve it for later on when he finishes his treatment, he would be back to have his normal life. You know, nowadays we are no longer in the era where, oh, cancer, it's a death sentence, let us save the patient's life. No. We want to save the patient's life. We want to make possible, make it so possible for them to go back to a normal life after there is a life after cancer. So we want them to be back to the normal life to anyone. Now, coming to the cosmetic aspect, you know, sometimes patients are really bothered by the fact that we remove the testicle. There are some prostheses that we can place. Infertility, as of now, which is, I mean, it's a shame. It's still considered as a cosmetic procedure, so it won't be covered by
insurance.
Yes, yeah. Some of the insurances do cover, but then at least the governmental one will not, because it's considered as a cosmetic. But that has a significant impact on the patient's well-being and mental health. So prostheses also do exist. We can do that surgery. And then cryopreservation is also important. Those are young patients, so we want them to be back and then, you know, found a family, have as many children as they want.
Okay. Just to be clear, this cancer is manifesting on the testicle itself, not on the sac.
Yes, it's on the testicle, yeah.
Not on the sac.
Not on the sac, but if it reaches the sac, that means it's locally advanced already, yeah.
So it's already a bad stage.
Yeah, not really a bad stage. Still manageable.
It's advanced stage, basically.
Yes, it's locally advanced. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, testicular cancer, prostate cancer.
Yes, that's also a good question. So, prostate, it's another organ that is not external; it's internal. It sits between the rectum and the bladder, so it's internal. It's not an organ that we can easily palpate. Prostate cancer affects a different age group of patients. The older you get, the higher are the risk of having a prostate cancer. Prostate cancer is a health system issue in our setting. It's one of the most common cancers in the African ethnicity. It's usually more aggressive, and it shows up with different symptoms. Usually you receive an elderly patient. We would say, okay, on the textbook you will find 70 years old, but nowadays we see younger and younger patients, so 50 plus. Someone might come with symptoms such as incomplete voiding, so they want to go for a short call, but then they are not able to empty fully the bladder. Sometimes they come with a bladder urine obstruction, so like complete obstructions. They come, they're like, I want to pee, but I can't. And we have to catheterize those patients. It can show up with some blood in the urine. It can show up sometimes with, when it's in advanced stages, lower limb swelling. Sometimes they come with some neck lymph nodes. So those are the more advanced stages. But usually when we look into the history and then we ask the patients, those urine symptoms have started already. Prostate cancer is also among the cancers that are treatable. We have several options, provided it's picked up at an early stage. So maybe for now, another advice for the older patients, 70 plus, but then sometimes even younger, when you have a family history of prostate cancer, any urine symptom, please do not keep it for yourself. Go and see a urologist. Get yourself examined. Get yourself screened, not particularly for prostate cancer, but at least understand why you're having urine problems. It could be just benign prostatic hypertrophy, but it could also be prostate cancer. So do not ignore those symptoms.
So then in this case, it's impossible for you to confuse one and the other, because I mean, totally different, physiological locations, isn't it?
Totally different physiological locations, totally different presentations, totally different age groups, totally different symptoms, and totally different tumor markers. Also prostate cancer has a tumor marker as well, a blood sample. A blood test, sorry.
A blood test. Okay. So, I mean, again, I'm just going to go back to that age issue, because talking about, and I want to look at that age 15 to 20 boys, so going back to testicular cancer now, who for many are involved, and I think you mentioned something to do with this, heavily in sports a lot. And it's very possible for any kind of injury to occur, a groin injury that could cause a swelling, right? You said that sometimes that could then, an injury like that could trigger something like that. Is that why we'll say, first of all, protect the groin area during sports? But then if there was an underlying issue before that, it wouldn't really matter what you did. And if that injury was to bring that out and it didn't come out before, we would then say there would be absolutely no way for you to know, since it's painless and in most cases symptomless, unless you had the other issues.
So just to be very clear, that injury is not the instigator of the cancer, right? So it might have just put under the light a nodule that has already been there. So it's not the instigator. Sometimes the patients come and they'll be like, I know it. It's because from that injury in the foot, but now I ended up having a cancer. No, it's not a causality. It's not like an event that has triggered the cancer. Sometimes it's just coincidence. Like it happens that because of that injury, that young man will go and be seen by a doctor, and then the doctor picks it up. But I wouldn't say it's a good thing. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing either. It's in few cases, in few scenarios, it happens.
Okay. So, if we look at this, and then the cost of doing surgery like this, if you didn't, would we see? I mean, like you. The aggressiveness of the disease of cancer, where certain things start to happen and your health system start to fail untreated, and you want to do that vis-a-vis. And again, I'm comparing, because again, we talk about cervical cancer. Unless something goes terribly wrong, a lot of people sit with the disease because they don't feel any pain, they don't have any symptoms. In this case, and the reasons why we don't go to seek healthcare is because of the cost. Right? So in this case, how expensive is it? What is the burden of the cost of care to get treatment in the form of surgery for testicular cancer?
So thanks for asking that question. Here also I want to send a very important message for everyone, the healthcare providers, the patients, the families, and the normal population. So with cancer, it's a financial burden, to be very honest. But the earlier you get medical attention, the less the cost will be. So imagine someone coming with a stage 1 testicular cancer, they will just end up having a surgery. And NHF does support. Government hospitals are many. We have so many urologists in the country, and they are good urologists. So the resources are there. And if it will be only surgery, and it's usually one of the most easiest surgeries, it's not a major surgery. So like even the hospital stay wouldn't be that prolonged. So imagine the only treatment is just surgery. You go into the hospital, get the problem out, and then you're released. And then you just continue doing your follow-up, clinic follow-ups. While if you just watch that noodle growing and then you come with other symptoms, chest, cough, headaches, it has affected the brain, you're not able, your health has really deteriorated. You might be in the hospital for a long period of time. You receive chemotherapy in the hospital. We need to do some monitoring, because if the disease is advanced and then you give the chemotherapy, it might release some toxins. So we need to observe those patients and avoid having any other complication from that release of the toxins. So that would make things even worse. Chemotherapy is affordable. NHF does support for chemotherapy. Radiation, NHF does support for radiation. And we have we have improved in the last couple of years. We have so many centers of radiotherapy, oncology departments, cancer departments. So it's available in the private as well as in the public hospitals. Right. So the earlier, the less heavy the burden will be. And know that you will have some support, either coming from the private insurances or even from the government one, the national one as well. Yeah.
Dr. Haj, this is Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, all right? So the public needs to be aware that, number one, there's something called testicular cancer, and this is how it manifests, and that it's curable to a high degree. Does the health system have awareness? Do the nurses, the clinical officers, the doctors that you'll find at, let's say, level 3, level 4 hospital know as much about testicular cancer as, for example, you know as an oncologist?
I would say we are not at the level where we want to be very honest, because otherwise we wouldn't be seeing advanced stages. Sometimes when you see the patient come, especially from deep rural areas, you might find that patient might have sought some attention, but then it was just missed. So, other differentials such as like benign conditions would be brought to discussion, and then the patient will go, he'll be worried about the node, and then they'll be like, oh no, it's nothing, it's just a varicocele, it's just you had a trauma, and then that trauma in a sport or the injury in a sport might mislead people. So they're like, oh no, it's just from the trauma, it's fine, and then the patient will get reassured, they'll go home, never seek any medical attention until 1 or 2 years later. So I would say the awareness is not at the level that we want it to, and thanks for bringing that discussion, because through the media, that's how we will be able to spread a wider message to a wider population. And I believe SpiceFM, like people listen to SpiceFM, so thanks for bringing that knowledge to the people. And I think we should do it more often, so that both healthcare providers, because also, the first line of healthcare provider are not particularly oncologists or specialists or urologists. So we try as specialists to reach to them as well, do continuous training. We always do, and we usually focus on those awareness months. We always have online conferences, meetings, continuous medical educations. We have our KSHO, Kenya Association of Hematology and Oncology, where it's really hard working to make sure that we spread the word not only in Kenya and East Africa. So through those platforms, like the media, our own medical platforms, we can spread the word through the population, the patients, but then also the healthcare providers.
And we thank you very much for coming in today.
Maybe just one last word.
Yes.
I would say nowadays, cancer is really the cancer. There is, some people call it an outbreak of cancer. So please keep in mind cancer as one of the differentials. Never ignore that possibility when you're examining a patient, or even as a patient when you see something abnormal, a bleed, a growth. Those are abnormal things. So you really need to keep it in mind. And then the earlier you go to a healthcare provider, the earlier the disease will be detected, the better the outcomes, the less financial burden, and then the less toxic and heavy treatment you will receive.
Dr. Manal Haj, consultant medical oncologist from the Aga Khan University Hospital, has been our guest. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today and this week. Have a lovely weekend. We'll be back on Monday, God willing. Have a lovely one.
be commissioned today. The center, which will benefit more than 10,000 people, has been built by M-Pesa Foundation. It will be handed over to Kisumu government